To cross over into campground. Oh, what a beautiful morning, oh, what a beautiful day. I got a beautiful feeling, everything's going my way.
Couple of your friends out here. Who's all out here right now?
Robert?
There's Robert, Robin. So these are just some wild animals that decided they were gonna make camp here, huh?
This is their world, and they are kindly allowing us into their world.
Yeah. So, and what kind of different animals? You got a chipmunk and robin and a bunny and
all kinds of birds, bunnies, sometimes groundhogs. See that pile in the corner? That is the creation of a groundhog.
Oh, okay.
Creating a tunnel, but once that tunnel is there, you know, other buddies use the tunnel also.
Yeah. Oh man, so peaceful out here.
Jeff, I don't know what's happened here. I ate some plants and look what happened.
Oh man, you gonna be okay, man? Is that protein excess?
I'm not sure. Should I go to a doctor? Jeff, welcome to my kitchen. I'm preparing several smoothies in a row. Here are some organic medjool dates.
Alright.
So first I will prepare a blueberry smoothie, and then for tomorrow morning for both of us, before you leave for your next interview, you'll have a mocha smoothie together.
Awesome.
Almond mocha.
So what kind of stuff are you putting in these besides dates?
Well, maca, agave nectar, cacao nibs, cacao powder, hemp milk, rooibos tea, coffee beans.
The whole bean?
Whole bean roasted.
You grind them up in the blender?
No.
Like you're blending them up with the
Right?
smoothie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mesquite powder.
What's that? Mesquite powder.
Mesquite.
Okay.
Can your camera smell this?
No, not yet. Doesn't have AI yet. What is it though? I mean...
Mesquite, I think it's similar to carob, but it's...
Oh, okay.
It has pods. And this is maca.
Maca.
Yeah.
Oh,
maca powder.
What's maca?
Maca is from Peru.
Okay.
It's a root vegetable.
Okay, so you have, what, how many smoothies a day? 4?
I exercise every day, so that means pre-workout smoothie, post-workout smoothie, and then a regular smoothie. So those 3 are always there. In the morning when I wake up, I have an interesting smoothie that I developed based on a mango smoothie that I discovered in Thrive right there.
Okay.
So that became something very elaborate, spicy, sometimes strawberries, mango, pumpkin seeds, hemp seeds, flax seeds, rose-hips, maca again, and coffee beans, cacao beans. So that's in the morning. And then I have the mocha smoothie. Then I do my, after I practice, I have my, daily exercise. At night, not every night, but, most nights before I go to bed, I have this blueberry smoothie because I feel that it prepares the body for a wonderful night of sleep.
All right.
Yeah.
And what's in that? The blueberry smoothie?
Blueberry smoothie.
Is that the dates here that you're
in the blueberry smoothie, I have agave nectar, cacao nibs, maca. Sometimes I add, 1 or 2 dates, but recently I'm using just agave nectar. Rooibos tea, hemp seeds. Sometimes I add pumpkin seeds, water of course.
Yeah, 3 for the workout and then 1 at night. So 4 in all.
Well, no.
Oh, I'm so confused.
That's okay. You will edit this.
No, I won't be able to.
In the morning, the first thing is a mango or strawberry smoothie. Then I have a mocha smoothie, and then black tea, green tea, exercise, practice, piano, voice, etc. Then, before my daily workout, I have my pre-workout smoothie, after the workout, post-workout smoothie, and then a regular smoothie.
So you just named like 5 smoothies.
Yes, and at night, sometimes I have this one. So it can be 5 to 6.
Oh, wow. Are they kind of all similar?
No. Okay, so this is my diet page on my website. Basically, I have about 5 smoothies a day and 1 solid meal. In the morning, I have a mango, strawberry kind of elaborate smoothie, and then I have a mocha smoothie.
And that's just to kick off the day, right?
Yeah, in the morning for my workout every day. So I have a pre-workout smoothie, post-workout smoothie, and then a regular smoothie following that. Then typically for dinner, I have my solid meal. That solid meal in general is raw soup, lots of sprouted buckwheat, sprouted lentils. It can have miso, sea vegetables, other vegetables combined. It's all raw.
And the soup's not mentioned here, but your smoothies are.
That's right, yes. But I have these photos from different adventures. Croquettes, breads,
Man, you're pretty crafty in the kitchen.
crackers. One of my favorites is Veggie burger croquettes. So there's Spanish gazpacho, artisanal bread, these wonderful soups, pizza.
And all this is raw, right?
Yes.
Wow. And some of it
Mango
may be
bread.
dehydrated? Is any of it dehydrated?
Oh yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Smoothies, smoothie photos.
Good looking
So
stuff.
that's the mocha smoothie.
Wow.
This is my morning smoothie. This looks like my pre-workout smoothie. That's the kale smoothie. Has apple in it. Green tea.
Wow.
This is from Thrive.
Okay.
This is my garden, and there's a salad in the garden.
Nice.
Okay, that's the bottom.
Awesome. So about 5 smoothies a day, maybe on average.
Yeah.
And then of course the soup. And if they want to learn more about the soup, how can they figure that out?
The idea is very simple.
Are you blending it up? At
No,
all?
you can. But what I do is 2 cups of water, just put it in a pot, boil it if you want, and then just add the ingredients to it after that. That's warm. Soup. If you have frozen items, after putting them in the pot, you can just warm it up a little, but you don't want to reach the boiling point. That's the key. As long as it's warm, but not boiling, it's fine.
Cool.
Yeah.
And that's to keep prana in there.
Yeah, so that's the thing. In the raw food diet, for me, that is the most important thing. Maintaining the life essence. Because once it's cooked, it's gone.
And then over here, you got your sprouts going on a little bit over there.
Yeah, so these are buckwheat sprouts.
And you got a couple more over here.
Lentils.
What other stuff, you don't have to show me, but what are all the different things you sprout?
Well, I sprout buckwheat a lot. That's the main thing. Otherwise, wheat. It's very easy to sprout these. Buckwheat, lentils, and wheat. I also, especially for mango bread, I sprout oat groats.
Oh, okay.
They too sprout very fast.
Nice.
Actually, I think I have... Here's my mango bread.
Cool. And now is sprouting kind of the same for different seeds? Or like you just rinse them in the morning and the evening? Like what's the routine there? How does that work?
For these, just morning and evening, that's all. Twice a day.
So, and then how many days?
These, just about 2 days.
And they're ready to eat.
Yep. I mean, if you see these sprouting, then you are ready.
So in 2 days or so, that's it, 2 days.
Just about 2 days.
It's pretty quick. So that's pretty simple then, huh? You don't spend a whole lot of time in here?
No, that's...
Expensive? Is it expensive?
No, actually, it's the exact opposite. I mean, here you have half cup of buckwheat, but when they sprout, it becomes, probably what, 1 cup. My name is Bülent Güneralp. I'm a singer and vocal instructor. I became a vegetarian in 1996, vegan 2011, after reading a book that my mother gave me. I don't remember the title, but it was about vegetarianism. Not necessarily veganism. It was about vegetarianism. I read that book and immediately I woke up from my dream. I immediately became aware of the suffering animals go through. How meat is processed, all the chemicals, how unhealthy it is. I woke up and I immediately became vegetarian. No meat. I always loved animals. Always. But, like so many people in the world, disconnection, right? How we live, its effects, the consequences of our actions. How our actions are affecting everything, everyone, every living being, everything around us. So yeah, it was an amazing experience. It was like suddenly light bulb. Why did I not see this before?
Prior to that book, was there like anything that primed you up for that, or was it like everything was normal and then suddenly you read this book and then everything changed, like just from that book?
Well, the book was the climax, I believe, but I was always, health conscious, taking care of my body, health, energy. I was into sports, etc. But in terms of that disconnect between my care and love for animals and consuming them, and how is that possible? That's the strange mystery. It's society, different religions, cultures, the way we are raised. The way I grew up was, the omnivorous lifestyle.
And where was that?
Where?
Yeah.
Istanbul, Turkey.
Prior to this book, what were you eating, like, and how were you living that wasn't vegan?
Well, I was eating, meat, dairy. Basically it was completely, omnivorous. But I don't consider myself, if you notice, I'm not saying I was omnivore. Even now, I don't say I'm vegan. I don't say I'm non-vegan, vegan. I don't identify myself with anything that comes after I am. So it's spiritually, it's critical for me to make it clear that for me, anything that comes after I am is an illusion. Those are titles, tags, etc. What is vegan or veganism? It's a word invented in modern history. But I believe human nature is vegan. If we live aligned with our nature, that's great. That's natural. In today's language, it's veganism. But other people, other cultures may describe it in different ways. But ultimately, what is that all about? It's about following our hearts, expressing our truth. And what is that truth? Oneness. Right? We may think we are different light bulbs, but it's the same electricity in all of us. So it's that same essence is in everything. In you, in me, in an animal, in a plant, in a star, in the ocean. Seeing that is the key. Becoming aware of that, self-realization. What is that self, right? It's that nameless and formless reality that gives life to all the names and forms. Then everything is clear. Crystal clear. It's simple. It's crystal clear. Yeah. I am you. I am that. I am that animal. That animal is I. But ultimately, behind all of these, there is the same self. Same self. That is the key.
I'd like to explore that a little further, but first I'm curious, before you realized all of this, you were living totally different, right?
In terms of diet?
Well, in terms of this awareness of self and understanding of self and relating to other life, but also your diet. I mean, all of this kind of ties together, right?
That's right.
So prior to this, I'm just curious how much weight is in that book, or was there other things that led up to this prior to the book that might have primed you up for it? Because, you might hand somebody a book and they're not ready for it, and it might be illuminating to explore how people become primed up for things. Another question I might ask somebody, prior to going vegan, was there ever a time that you felt like there's no way I could do that?
Diet is only a small part of the whole picture.
Yeah.
Around those years in 1996, a lot of things were happening. A spiritual awakening, an intense period. So this, interestingly, discovering this book and this, dietary change, all of these occurred in that period. The book alone, the dietary picture, as I said, that's not the main thing. It is very important. It's a much bigger picture. But it is always important to remember that, everything is simple. The picture is simple. What I notice in life, not only in terms of diet and, vegan world or plant-based world, etc., even though they are different things, instead of turning within, opening in, seeing things in us, we have a tendency to make things complicated by trying to find things out there. This journey ultimately was all about turning in, turning within, and finding that in me, which is everywhere. That's love. Love is the key. Without that, everything is zero. Love is like number one, right?
Yeah.
Without that, put next to zero, it's zero is meaningless, valueless.
Yeah.
But once you put one next to it, then the picture changes. What is love? People have so many different ideas about love, but I must say that that I don't see the truth in that. For me, there is only one meaning for that, and that is seeing the one in the many.
So how did you come to realize all of this?
That's a very long journey.
Yeah.
That's a very long journey.
But it wasn't what made you go vegan necessarily. Knowing this now, how were you seeing things then? Not being one with all of this?
Well, back then, in terms of the spiritual aspect of it, back then I was what I am now. But my awareness of it wasn't there. Truth is omnipresent. It's everywhere. If we see it, then we live that vision, the vision of truth. Now, in my journey, it's long. Now I'm trying to find a way to simplify it or to put it into words in a simple way.
Yeah, hold it up.
Yeah.
I'm just going to move this down. This out of shot. That.
You must keep these in the interview. All of these. Hello world. Hibiscus tea.
Hey, I actually exist. I am not a figment. I am not AI incarnate.
Yeah. That's the other thing, artificial intelligence. That's an oxymoron. If it's artificial, it cannot be intelligence. If it's
We'll go there in a minute.
intelligence, it cannot be artificial.
We're trying to figure out how to express your journey of understanding your connectedness with all of life, how that's helped you or how that's applied to your transition from not being vegan into being vegan.
Oh, that is the core. That is the essence. Now, we may not put into words as, I'm on a spiritual journey, etc. But every being is on a spiritual journey, human or otherwise. All the rivers are flowing towards the same ocean. All the brooks, all the rivers, all the streams. If you are aware of it, great. But ultimately there is no failure. I always loved animals, right? Where is that love coming from? It wasn't a thought. Love is not a thought. It cannot be a thought. It's in us already. We cannot create love. We can live it, right? But we can also live it with full awareness. What is wrong in this picture, right? Loving animals and then eating animals. Why do I care for an animal as if I have personal relationship, right? And then I go and buy meat and eat that. Why don't I make that connection? It's because we are conditioned into not making that connection.
Yeah.
That's the problem. It's a mental problem. The way people are living in the world. I mean, it's huge. I'm sorry to say that mentally ill race, speciesism, right? Human race lost in racism. I didn't become, a vegan right away, right? So it's a journey. So how did it start? The way I grew up, eating omnivorous, following the omnivorous diet, and then, moving towards vegetarianism. And then I came to this country in 1998 without having an idea about veganism. I didn't know what that was. It was important not to inflict pain on animals, not to contribute, to their suffering in any way. So in that sense, I felt this great peace, right? But still, I had no idea what happens when we eat dairy products or eggs, etc. So I learned these in time, after many years, especially after I came to the US. But in the past, 1996, in those years, I was thinking milk, eggs, etc. Not necessarily eggs, but initially I became a lacto-vegetarian. Back then also I didn't have much information about this. What is lacto-vegetarian? What is ovo-vegetarian, lacto-vegetarian, etc. Lacto-vegetarian. In terms of milk and milk products, I was thinking, well, that's the fruit of the animal.
Yeah.
Just like the fruit from the tree. It's fine. Yeah. It's not. Even if we don't cause pain, even if we are not harming the animal products are not compatible with human body. Ultimately. Even in India, even if you look at yoga, they don't say it's bad necessarily, but they say limited amounts. If the animal is treated with love, for example, in India, a cow is a member of the family. They allow the cow to feed the babies, the calf, etc. Whatever is left, that's for the family. But even that is not, gorging on milk. It's just a limited amount. And I'm not against that, How can I be against that? It's their tradition, and I respect that. And if it's yoga, it's part of yoga. If I'm correct, it's fine. But I may be right or wrong. I don't know. Even milk, that's not for humans. We may say, if it is from an animal treated with love, if it is raw, if it is clean, it may have some health benefits, but even then, I don't need it. I believe that, deeds are judged by intentions. So in that sense, I was fine. I was believing I was doing the right thing. Like many people who consume meat, they believe they are doing the right thing. Culture, incorrect science, some religions, conditioning, it's a habit. It is critical not to search for truth in the past or in the future. It's here and now, it's in us. I don't need to find it in a book. I don't need to find it in a path necessarily, even though it may help. Some of those books, paths, they may help. But no cloud needs another cloud to find the sky within. All we need is to turn within. Unfortunately, many influences, cultural influences, even some religions, etc., they prevent that from happening. They prevent people from turning in, opening in, not closing in, opening in, with a completely open mind. And that is the key. That is unfortunately the missing picture in general. In history, in today's world, we should have that courage to look within. That's the key, to look within. Otherwise, we are just looking out. But there is nothing outside, everything's inside.
This philosophy you're talking about and way of seeing the world and yourself and your place within it all and within yourself, is this what it took to become vegan, or what made you go vegan? And then how does this relate to veganism?
Yeah. Omnivorous lifestyle, and then vegetarian, lacto-ovo-vegetarian, then lacto-vegetarian, especially as I, looked at yoga and the East. Then, especially I came to the US, becoming aware of the concept of veganism. It's a huge alignment process, right? I don't want to harm. I don't want to cause pain. I don't want to inflict pain. I don't want to contribute to any suffering unnecessarily. Once I got clear about all of these, naturally, the diet had to align itself with that.
But veganism, it's a philosophy, right? Not a diet, right?
That's right.
And I think your philosophy obviously helped with this. Was this through just meditation that you come to these epiphanies? And is that how you got to the point of realizing you need to go vegan?
Well, it was about turning within and just following the voice of the heart.
How do you do that?
You know, everyone has a different way of tuning into that. You know, for some people it can be meditation, some people it can be sports, music, arts.
For you, though.
For me, it's just, you know, life. After a certain time in my life, my life was completely focused on spirituality. Completely. Especially after that point, you know, all of these, diet, etc., needed to align with that. That was a struggle, you know, because you are hearing all these voices, you know, you need to eat meat, you need to consume this, without that. The other thing is my career as a singer. You are singing, you are studying, you are on stage. Everything you are doing is affecting your voice. You know, what you eat, what you feel, what you think, what you go through, everything is affecting your voice. I said, ultimately, you know, I don't care. I will do what is right, even if I lose my voice. For me, that's Dharma. You know, that's the meaning of Dharma. Doing what is right for that time, for that space, for that moment. That comes from within. What is right now, what is dharmic right now, tomorrow it may change. It's based on life, time, space, context.
You know, it's interesting you should say that. I hate to mess up your flow. I went vegan for ethical reasons after watching Gary Yourofsky's Best Speech, and there was times after that where I was kind of like you, where you said, I don't care if I lose my voice. Or for me, I was like, I don't care if I become malnourished. I want to do what's right.
Yes.
And that's that to me is what you're kind of saying. That's that Dharma, right?
That's right, yes. Now, that doesn't mean, of course, putting reason aside. It's not kind of I will go and kill myself. That's not that. It's about really, again, turning within, grounding oneself, and really doing what is right. Yeah. It's not because I care about, the fruits of the action. Mm-hmm. I will do this and it will bring this to me. It's not about that. It's about just for the sake of doing that right thing. With love and care, with respect. Where does that come from? That feeling. It's in all of us. It doesn't need to be taught. It's in us. Love, respect, these things don't need to be taught. They are in us. We can be conditioned to move away from them, but they are always in us. Yeah. They don't leave us, and we can never leave them.
Now, does this come back to what you were saying earlier about not putting anything after I am?
Yeah.
Explain that a little bit more.
Everything in the universe, everything in life is changing, except one thing. And the goal of life is to find that thing. What is that thing? That never changes. In my view, that is the goal of life, to discover that and then to live that, to express that. What does real mean? For something to be real, it should be the same in all three periods of time, past, present, and future. If it's changing, it's only an illusion. It doesn't mean it's meaningless, but it's unreal. It can appear real to the mind, there is memory, but there is only one thing that never changes. Like the screen on which the movie of life is playing. That unchanging reality is everywhere. It's here, it's in you, it's in me, it's in everything. And it is the simplest thing to find. If we reduce our desires and fears, or if we completely get rid of them, then we can turn within. If we have unnecessary desires and fears, then we are focused on the external. In order to turn within, we need to reduce our attachment to those energies, to those distractions.
It's kind of like the difference between intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. Finding that intrinsic motivation, it just makes sense that that would be the most powerful way to live your life, intrinsically motivated. Being in tune with this real thing that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And do you think that real thing is a universal thing?
Yes, absolutely. Otherwise it cannot be real. The entire universe is living in it. Time, space, entire history and the entire future, everything. Time and space belong to the movie. The truth is the screen. When I say screen, I'm not talking about screen. There is a nameless and formless reality. Nameless, formless. All names and forms live in it. They get their existence, their lives from it. If you look at the sky, you will see many clouds, right? Different shapes, different forms, different colors, right? Black clouds, white clouds, gray clouds, different shapes. Without the sky, they cannot exist. That sky is representing that nameless and formless reality, right? So bulbs, light bulbs, different colors, different shapes, maybe different, wattages, but the same electricity is flowing through them. Behind all activity, behind action, there is always an invisible, visible or invisible, stable foundation. Without a stable road, we cannot drive. Without a screen, we cannot play any movie. Whether we accept it or not, it's there. And it's in us. And the goal of life is to find that. Now, you ask that question, how do we find that? How do we discover that?
And if it's universal, can't we just say what it is?
It's an experience. It cannot be put into words. We can go and stand, by the ocean. We can do this, we can look at the ocean, and we can say, all the tales about the ocean having pearls in it are false. The only thing we must do to realize, to discover the truth, is to dive into the ocean and to have that first-hand experience. Otherwise, it's all talk. It doesn't exist, it's not there. Go in and see whether or not it's there. So we are talking about an experience. The individual soul merges with the universal. That's the goal of life. And believe me, it's not complicated. It doesn't have to be complicated. It is the simplest thing. Humans are experts in complicating things, making things complicated. Everything is simple. Let us differentiate between the changing and the unchanging, between the ephemeral and the permanent, lasting. There is only one thing that never changes. It is so easy, if we have the courage to turn within, it is so easy to find it. Ourselves. Anything we perceive cannot be us. The act of perception proves there are two things, the perceiver and the perceived, the seer and the seen, S-E-E-N. The perception, the act of perception or perceiving is taking place between the two. I can only perceive what I am not. Once we realize this, we can start peel off the layers of illusion. Look at your body. Who is seeing this body? Who is the seer? I have a body. I have a body. I am not the body. I have a mind. Who is saying I have this, that, right? If I'm saying, here's my mug, right? I am seeing this. The mug is not seeing itself. You can close your eyes. You can look into your mind. Thoughts, emotions, fears, desires, memories. Who is seeing them? It's not the mind that is seeing them. There is something deeper seeing them, perceiving them. Only the subtler can see the subtle. Once we start peeling off the layers of illusion, ultimately we reach the core. There's no change there. It's stable, pure consciousness. Beyond that, pure awareness, because consciousness requires the world. Awareness is independent. Pure awareness is what we are. Pure awareness. Pure existence. Pure bliss. Not happiness, bliss. That is our nature. We exist not because of anything. We are, whether we accept it or not. But the problem is, we add all kinds of illusions to I am. I does not change and becomes the world. I is changeless. When people meditate, there are so many different approaches. You hear this a lot. Look at feel your breath. Tune into your breath and your emotions, thoughts. Passing, etc. I rarely hear, or maybe I never hear this. Who is looking at them? That is the goal of meditation. Meditation is not just let me relax, let me see these passing thoughts. That's not meditation. Meditation is about killing the illusion, the ego. This is what people fear. That's why there is this, in some ways, if I may call it so, fake spirituality. Thickening the ego. As if the spirituality is to serve the ego. Let's have the courage to say, I am not this body, I am not this name, I am not this form. Who were you, who was I, before I was given this name? What was I before this body was born and came to earth? Now, I'm not claiming, I'm this, that, I'm more important, nothing. I'm just saying, I am nothing but I, that's all. And that means I am you. I am that animal, I am that plant.
Kind of like when I asked you, in the beginning, your name, title, you went vegan. Why? It's like the title thing.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're not a musician.
Absolutely, correct.
Even though you play music.
Yes, those are roles we play in life. Here is the example that I give to my students. Because with my students, we don't talk about just voice. It's life. Shakespeare, Othello or Otello, Italian. Giuseppe Verdi. Iago, the evil character, confuses Otello and makes him believe that his wife Desdemona is cheating on him. You are studying your role, Otello. Whether it's straight theater or opera, you are studying. As you study, you are thinking, I, as an actor or a singer, I'm studying my Othello. You study it so well. Let's focus on the opera. You learn the entire part, all the notes, all the phrases, all the dynamics, characterization, everything. The day comes, you go on stage, lights, the audience is there, you are performing all those emotions. You are performing in such a way that you are starting to believe that you are Othello. And at the end of the opera, you are killing your wife, Desdemona, on stage. Your colleague. Why? Because you are thinking, you lost yourself in the role. That's how people live. These are roles we are playing. I sing, I'm not a singer. I make music, I'm not a musician. If you are talking about pure, spirituality, what I said is true. But if you are talking about kind of the worldly language, human language, yes, I'm a musician, I'm a singer. Mm-hmm. But in terms of truth, these are things that I do. Mm-hmm. My roles, like many people.
I used to be a singer, and I could only imagine that it, for some people, becomes who they are to the point that when invariably they lose their voice, they lose who they are. And that, how depressing.
Or what they think they are.
Yeah, what they think they are. And because that's what they think they are. I'm a singer, and now I've lost my voice.
Yeah.
There's so much that goes on with people that sing and that become idols, that they're incarnating this idol instead of who they are. And this is kind of what I'm...
That's right.
I'm hearing you say.
Yes. I is not affected by anything. Mm-hmm. Now, if you notice, I'm not making it personal. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying I. It's impersonal. Mm-hmm. It's universal. The true self is I. It's not mine. The true self is I. The goal of life is to realize that. The cloud will turn within and will find the sky in it. That way only it can realize the oneness of it with other clouds. Mm-hmm. The bulb will turn within and find the electricity within. Until then, the bulb is bound to think I'm an independent light bulb, like a human, right? I'm an independent human. I'm free. No, you are not free. That's an illusion. what people call freedom, especially in the West, is nothing but slavery to the senses. Slavery to the senses. I say it straight. And it is glorified, as if life is about that. Just follow your senses, follow pleasures. In the end, there's always tragedy, without exaggeration. So going back to Othello, tragedy, right? Othello kills Desdemona, his own wife, at the end of the opera. If I'm aware that I'm playing the role of Othello, then I would act as if I'm killing my colleague on stage, Desdemona, my wife. But if I lose myself in the role, I would kill my colleague on stage,
Literally.
believing that, yes, that is how most people are living their lives, unfortunately.
So they're saying, I am an omnivore, I am a carnivore, I am a meat eater, or whatever, They're saying these things instead of I.
Yes. Now, I do not say I am vegan. I am I, nothing but I. Therefore, I have this vegan lifestyle. I discovered a poem, a while back. It says, a vegan poem, but 1,000 years ago. There was no word vegan back then.
Right. But what it was,
That's right.
was always there.
The truth was there. Timeless truth. That is the key. Truth does not depend on anything. It is self-effulgent. It doesn't need anything else to exist.
I'm trying to apply what you're talking about to not just being in tune with ourselves enough to realize the obvious here. I don't want to hurt others, so I live this way. But it's also kind of maybe tying into the disease model.
Absolutely. But of course, all these statements, right? I don't want to inflict pain. I don't want to hurt others, etc. What is the core? It's the same. Yes.
Yeah.
A child, not yet conditioned by maybe parents or TV or society, etc. A child goes and hugs an animal. It doesn't go and kills. It doesn't go and kill the animal. It is simple. All the ills of humans, all the problems, wars, personal problems, physical problems, mental problems, spiritual problems, societal problems, waging war on nature, everything has only one root cause: body identification. Identifying with a name and form. I am this person.
The soldier,
I am that person. I am this, I am that.
ally, enemy.
This illusion causes naturally only separation. This is not the vision of unity or truth. Once you say, I am a bulb, you are disconnecting yourself mentally, not in reality, from the electricity within. This is just an example. Of course, I'm not saying electricity is powering us. I mean, spirituality is so easy. I am not this name, I am not this form. You are free at that moment. Once you say this, you are freeing yourself from the shackles that live in the mind, that keep you imprisoned.
In those identities.
That's right. Of course, wrong identity. So there is only one identity, that is I. In terms of I, there are actually three I's. What others think I am, what I think I am, and what I am. The first two are illusions. And the journey of life is from here to here. Just this path. From here to here. That's the journey of life. You rise above the mind and you find the truth that is in the heart. I'm not against the body, I'm not against the mind. Those are instruments. Those are not the self. The problems occur once we start identifying ourselves with everything what we are not. This is my body. It's here now, it may be gone tomorrow. It has no effect on me. Who cares if it lives for 1,000 years or for one moment? Of course I love my body, I take care of it, I love it. That doesn't mean I am it. These are faculties that we have as humans. Mind, feeling, thinking, all of these. Body, mind, soul. These are instruments. How do we know that? No, for example, if I ask you, prove to me that you are that body. What would you say?
Tangible, that I am
Well,
existing, I am here, right?
you go to bed at night, you dream, you touch someone's body, you touch your body, you think that it's real. You wake up in the morning. Was it real? It never happened. That's just like life. Life is a dream. It's not real.
If I die, I still remain in what I've done and who I was. People have legacies, and that reflects the I, like the action of existing and offering some form of evidence of that. Whoever the body was, that goes away, like you're saying. But who I was may still remain in memories.
Yeah, that's, yes,
in action.
The expression of who, your life. In my view,
reflection
that's
of who you really are.
Yes. If the actions are based on truth, naturally they will reflect that truth, and that is the key, right? If I'm going and killing someone, that's not based on love, unless I'm doing that as a last resort to save someone. That goes back to the discussion about dharma. Sometimes people think that dharma means you just sit there, do nothing. That's not it. Today, I'm caring for someone, etc. But tomorrow, if that same person, by the way, you may want to edit this out, I'm just sharing this with you. Dharma depends on time and space and circumstances. It's not set in stone. It's set in stone in the sense that it should come from within. If we are tuned into our hearts, conscience, if we are following that, naturally we will be following our dharma.
Knowing who I am and believing in that and trusting that, I can be consistent with having good intentions, having good outcomes, no matter the circumstances.
You are saying something so important. Now, there are so many people who have, they in their minds, they have good intentions. In their minds, they have the best intentions. But they are killing, they are harming other humans, animals, nature. Why? Conditioning. Like robots. Many people are living like robots, programmed without questioning, as if, let's call it a sleep living.
That's why I qualified it further with the best intentions, not just good intentions. The best being something that's coming from who I know I am, and that's knowing that I'm somebody who doesn't want to hurt others, that I feel best when I am not hurting others. And knowing who I am, what I want, is knowing that I don't want to hurt others because I don't want to be hurt. And I know what that's like, and I know others don't want to be hurt. And these are all things that are so simple, like you say. They're simple truths. And if somebody's simply in tune with that truth, that innate, I believe in innate truth that we all have, then they're going to have the best intentions in harmony with that. Not just good intentions, but the best intentions are going to be in harmony with that, I think,
Yes. If I may add this to what you said, it all depends on where we are acting from. I may say, I have the best intention, I have the good intention to do something, but if it's not based on truth, it can be the most dangerous thing in the world. So it all depends on what is the consciousness, what is the awareness level. We can live as a dot, or we can live as the big circle, right? And that's the journey, right? It starts as a dot. You enlarge it until the dot disappears and realizes its oneness with that. Just like the waves in the ocean, we can say, waves, there are separate waves, but there are no separate waves. There's only one ocean. How is it possible for most people or many people to just look at the sea or the ocean, but see only the waves, only the drops, only the splashes, only the mist, but miss the entire ocean right before our eyes? Humans are expert, in this. Missing what is right before our noses. It's a mental game. conditioning.
Like what you're saying there, the wave. If you just treat it like it's one wave, that form of reductionism, it separates things from reality. The reality is it's not just a wave. It's like you said, the whole ocean.
Yeah.
And when you step outside of reality,
Which is only an illusion, by the way. You can never get out of reality because it's omnipresent. You cannot get out of what is omnipresent.
I mean, you can.
Mentally,
mentally,
mentally, not in reality.
Yeah.
That's the thing. All problems are mental. All solutions are spiritual. There are no physical problems, independent physical problems. In other words, body and mind are like the two sides of the same coin. Ultimately, all problems are mental. All solutions are spiritual. We cannot fix physical issues at the physical level. We cannot fix mental issues at the mental level. Only the spiritual approach will fix all of these, will address these.
You're saying two sides of the coin, body, mind. The coin is spiritual. So the coin's spiritual, and one side is the body, one side is the mind. Maybe you could say that.
Yes, but when we say spiritual, we didn't say the coin is the spirit.
No, I know. I was just trying to get it in there.
And I agree with your statement that ultimately body and mind are living in the spirit. Now, some people don't like these words, spirit, God, what is that? We are talking about something nameless and formless.
Earlier you mentioned three
eyes.
Yeah, the three eyes. And that reminded me of Johari window, if I'm pronouncing it right. So there's four there, though. There's the part of you that nobody sees. And then there's the part of you that others see you don't see. And then there's a part of you that you see that others don't see. And then there's the part of you that everybody sees. So there's four.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the Johari way. I mean, that's just
everybody sees. That is actually one of the three. What others see, what others think you are, is what others see.
Yeah, but they see things that you don't see. You see things they don't see, and then there's things that everybody sees, and then there's things that nobody sees.
I still think that, what you are describing kind of falls into one of those three, I feel. In any case, ultimately the point is there is only one eye that never changes. Or there is only one thing that never changes. Now, I'd like to go back to the ocean example.
Okay.
Mevlana Celaleddin Rumi, great poet, says, I hope I'm remembering it right, otherwise I'm paraphrasing. You are not a drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean in a drop.
Okay, so maybe what I'm trying to do is separate something that's one, but I don't know what that would be.
Yeah, you can never separate the inseparable.
Yeah. But when it comes to things that are perceived, there's some things that nobody perceives, and there's some things that everybody perceives.
That's right. So those things fall into those two, right? What I think I am, what others think I am. But there is what I am. What I am actually is the basis of all of these. It's not the cause. Sometimes people confuse this, as if the spirit is, or the God or love, and whatever that is the cause of all of these. The evil and all that. That's not true. The sun is sending its rays to the world. In that atmosphere, some people are doing good, some people are doing bad. Sun is not the cause of any of those. It is the basis. It's not the cause. It's not causing evil. It's not causing good. It's not causing bad. What is good? What does good mean? What does bad mean? Any action based on the truth, which is one, is bound to be good. If I know I am you, how can come and harm you? If I know that I am that animal with its nervous system, with its soul, with its feelings, emotions, how can I go and harm that animal or kill it or eat it? Some people say, well, plants feel. Why are you eating them? They don't have a nervous system. They feel. Everything in the universe feels. Everything. Stone, trees, plants, everything feels. Beyond the senses. Everything feels love. But that doesn't mean everything feels pain the way humans or animals feel. Nervous system is the key. I can cut my hair, whatever hair is left there, I can cut my hair. My hair, I'm not feeling pain. I'm aware that I'm cutting my hair, right? But I'm not feeling pain. That's like eating plants. But if I cut my finger, that's like killing an animal. That's the difference. It's so simple. I love this example. Different countries, different languages, different people, call the sun by different names, right? Sole, soleil, güneş, sun. Are there different suns? No. People may call the spirit God, Allah, Baba, Jesus, Father, nameless and formless. The problem is people are worshipping their paths instead of the goal, the omnipresence in us, what we are, what you are, what everything is. Most books, unfortunately, fill the mind with gibberish and condition the mind with that gibberish. Don't get me wrong, I'm not disrespecting any path. I respect all religions equally. I respect all spiritual paths equally. They all are wonderful as long as they do not extinguish the flame of unity. That's crucial. We cannot learn the truth. No one can give us the truth. No one can pass the truth on to someone else. It cannot be taken or given. It can only be discovered and experienced. It's beyond words. What we give or take is here. It's a mental thing. Truth is beyond the mind. Just like the false self. I am this, I am that. Whatever comes after I am is only a thought. I is beyond the thought, beyond the mind. That means we cannot go there by thinking. How can we reach that which is beyond the mind? There is only one thing that can reach that, love. What does that mean? That means being one. That means we dive into the ocean and we discover the pearls in it. We see them. We see them there. Those pearls are in us. Basically, we are talking about discovering the self, the true self.
Yeah.
Imagine you have the courage to empty your mind fully. It doesn't mean you are forgetting everything, but you are putting everything aside. Everything you know, everything you believe, all the concepts, everything. Just completely, you are rising above them. You are not controlled by them. Then only we can discover the truth. We don't need to think to reach the truth. We need to rise above thinking. I think, therefore I am, is false actually. Whatever is thinking is not I. Truth is beyond thinking, beyond what thinks. Right now, you are sitting there. At night, you will go to bed. You will dream, and then you will go into deep sleep. No dream. Who are you there? Where is the person in the deep sleep state? It's not there. It was never there. That's an illusion. I'm not saying it's unimportant. These are roles we play, but we need to play them with full awareness of who we are, without identifying yourself with what we are not, with the roles, with, Othello, causing tragedies in life, personal or otherwise.
Is it safe to say I am alive?
You are beyond life. What lives is the person. What you are is beyond life. Life is the movie. It's playing in you. As long as you are playing the movie or your role in the movie in the awareness of who you are, the unaffected screen, all is well. Enjoy life. You can't get lost in life that way. But once we start, or if we start identifying ourselves with any part of life, then there will always be problems, because happiness won't take you out of that condition. Tragedies, sorrow, pain, suffering will take you out, will wake you up. It's simply amazing. It's this. I find this example beautiful. Throughout the day, I may think I am this person, this name, this form. I go to bed, I'm dreaming. During the dream, I believe the dream, as if it's as real as this life, as real meaning as unreal, right? If I'm believing life is real, right? This is the waking state. There's the dream state, there's the deep sleep state, and there's even another state beyond all of these, completely unaffected. but aware of all these states. So the person in this waking state is living, and then goes to bed, starts to dream, believes that dream is real, right? But when he wakes up in the morning, where is that dream? Thinks, oh, that was just a dream. Deep sleep state, mind is gone. It stopped. It's not functioning. That's why it's deep sleep. Mind is functioning in the dream state. Once you go into the deep sleep state, mind has stopped. Then where is the person? It's not there anymore. The memory is active there in the mind. But your identification with that memory is gone during the deep sleep state. So even this simple example proves that we are not these names and forms. Truth never changes. Real must be the same in all three periods of time. If it's changing, it's not real. Here's an example. If I'm doing this, what do you see here?
Circle.
What do you see here? It wasn't there. This is an illusion. This is life. This is this person. It's never there. It's real for the mind. Just like this, right? The mind is seeing this activity. Without activity, this is that. This is what we are. It's not nothing. It is the only thing that exists.
You know, I've had some pretty deep conversations with people that I think are in tune with what you're saying here and express it in a different way, more in respect to time. For lack of better words, living vertically with time instead of horizontally with time, instead of like in the past and future, but living more in the present, here and now, in the moment, being mindful, you know, these kind of things.
Let's talk about
Time-
that. That's so important.
Yeah, and it's like almost like, in a sense, almost like time stops or something. But the way they were articulating it, time doesn't exist in the way that it does for people who are living with time horizontally.
Yeah.
Because when you're living time horizontally, you're probably going to be anxious about the future and depressed about the past, or not focused on the moment. When you are, then life just feels so much more full and balanced, and maybe in tune with that I more.
Thank you for talking about this. This is very important. Time and space live in I. I gives life to them. But I is beyond them. It's in them and beyond them. Ultimately, it's beyond them. So, if we are talking about living ourselves, living a spiritual life with self-awareness, the answer is not to be found in life, but through life. The answer is not in life. It's to be found through life. We need to go beyond life. That doesn't mean to die physically. Our goal is to rise above these illusions while living. That's the goal. Time, past, future, past memories, future, negative emotions about future also, they are based on the past, memories, fearing something or desiring something. Past is past. Future is uncertain. Although it is possible for some people, as if they are climbing up a mountain and seeing things, what is going where, right? In certain ways, seeing the future. We want to focus on not the past, not the future, not the present, but the omnipresent, which encompasses all. Beyond time and space. That's what we are. Mindfulness. So many people are talking about that. With good intentions. It has this snare in it, or possible problems associated with the word mindfulness. Being mindful of something should not cause the soul to focus on the mind at the expense of the heart. There may be a tendency to make the act full of mind. That's not mindfulness. So there's an individual consciousness. That consciousness can focus on the body, can focus on the mind, or can turn within and can focus on what is beyond it, the spirit. So I'm not a big fan of the word mindfulness. People are already living very much, mind-centered lives, unfortunately. Especially the Western society, individuality and, mind and, freedom. my career, my accomplishments, my family, this and that, these are all passing clouds. And people are just trying to hold on to those passing clouds for permanent happiness. It will never happen. Happiness has always a cause. It starts somewhere, it ends somewhere. Anything that has a start is bound to have an end. If something appears in this movie of life, it appears, it lives, and it disappears. What we want to focus on is what we are. What we are is beyond happiness. Bliss. Causeless happiness. It doesn't go anywhere. I can live, or this person can live, or can disappear tomorrow, or in 50 years, or 2,000 years, or 5,000 years, or in 1 minute. It has no effect on me. And I'm not trying to convince anyone. This is just the realization I came to. And it does not make this person special in any way. There are many people in the world who are aware of this, who live these, who have lived like this throughout history in different cultures, in different spiritual traditions. But it is so, so, so important to never allow our minds to identify itself, the mind, with anything but I. I never changes. It changes. That is the only thing that never changes. I does not become anything that can come after M. If you want to go within, we want to give up attachment to everything that comes after I am, then you are left with I am. I am. No one can tell you you don't exist. No one. You exist. Right? Mm-hmm. But as what? That's the thing. As what? Not as bodies and persons and minds and memories and desires and fears and goals. That's not what we are. We exist as we. Just that. And every person can discover that as a person. No one can push, no one can force. There is only one way, and that's to turn within. The bulb cannot find the electricity out there. It needs to turn within to find it. The cloud will need to turn within to find the sky within. The wave will need to turn within to find the ocean within. There is nothing outside, everything is inside. We get rid of everything that comes after I am, then we say I am, right? No one can say I am not. I am, but as what? Get rid of am. I. Get rid of I. That's the truth. Beyond words, beyond forms, beyond everything. The absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. Evidence is for the mind. Truth is beyond the mind. Only ourselves can discover that by turning within. This is critical. All the problems in history have this single root cause. Body attachment, body identification. That is the illusion. That is the cause of separation. In reality, the truth doesn't change, right? But there is something that changes, that believes. The soul is believing these. The soul is getting lost in the mind and in the body, in life, in experiences. And the big task is to find a way to help that soul to detach itself from that attachment, if I may say that. If you are attached to something, you can detach. Then only this inner journey can start properly. Inner journey, that's the key, inner journey. The self doesn't have any attachment. It's non-attached. In India, there is a method by which they catch monkeys. They place a pot, an earthen pot, with a narrow neck. They put it on the ground, right? Sitting like this on its side. Here is the neck. They put nuts in it. The monkey comes, reaches inside, grabs the nuts, tries to pull its hand out. It cannot, because it's holding the nuts. That monkey is actually free. At that very moment, actually, it's free. All it needs to do is to get rid of the nuts. Those are representing the earthly, worldly desires and attachments. Yeah. Those are keeping us imprisoned in these experiences. This cycle of suffering. We cannot free ourselves unless we get rid of those unnecessary attachments and desires and fears.
Unless we let go of those nuts.
Yes. Now, in this case, let's call them candies. Yes. Yeah. Nuts are, yes. But in this case, for the monkey, nuts, that attraction. Yeah. Diet, veganism is only a small part of this whole picture. But it is a crucial part. I cannot say, I'm a loving person, I care for life, I care for others, and then, go and eat meat or cause suffering.
Because you're being inconsistent. I want my hand free, but I won't let go.
That's interesting. I wasn't thinking about that example, but it makes sense. Yeah. I was thinking more in terms of, harmony between thought, word, and deed.
Yeah, so was I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is so sad to see is so many good people. You know that they are good people. Great friends, wonderful people. But, they do things that you can never reconcile with how you know them. Yeah. What is even sadder, whatever you do, you cannot wake them up. Good people in heart, but mentally they are focused on certain things. I mean, if someone is saying, God created animals for humans to eat, that person may be a great person for other humans, great friend, etc. But, living our hearts, living ourselves with full awareness. Otherwise, if there is disharmony between thought, word, and deed, that's a big problem.
Like you said earlier, nobody can give you the truth. You got to find it yourself, essentially.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Books, teachers, paths, religions, they may help. Ultimately, if they will help as pointers to truth. Pointers. They won't give you the truth. No one can do that.
One thing I've been learning more and more lately, and I hope to bring out in these interviews that have grown to become this exploration into why people go vegan and how do they maintain it and how diverse that might be and how diverse people are. I feel like quintessentially there's this unified thing there. There's this universal truth. Pretty much all the vegans I've interviewed have been working their way toward. Even myself, this is just an ongoing journey for me, moving closer and closer to the truth and further away from the chaos of the world, Yeah. It's almost like I'm contradicting myself because I was saying earlier, when you become this isolated thing, you become a cancer. But in a sense, if you find the truth, you may have to leave the world in order to immerse yourself in that truth.
That's very interesting. Now, if you find the truth, the purpose of life is not to be found in life, but through life. Yeah. So there's a reason life is there. Life is a dream. We need to realize it's a dream. In order to realize it's a dream, we may need to look at that dream in the eye. We may need to go through that dream to rise above that. I'm not saying we must, but we may need to. There's a beautiful saying I like. Head in the forest, hands in the society. Discovering truth or having self-realization or awakening doesn't mean we need to go into a cave and live there from now on. Going back to this, head in the forest, hands in the society. We live our lives healthily, happily, in the awareness of the oneness of all. Proper, healthy, social living must be based on that, must be based on truth. Otherwise, it will only cause problems. What is racism, right?
Yeah, violence.
What is violence? But what is based on that? Body attachment. See, going back to what I was saying earlier. Give me any example, any problem in life, in history, personal or national or global, psychological, anything. You will find, as the root cause, body identification. As long as there is body identification, body attachment, there will always be problems. It's an incorrect picture. It's misaligned.
It's kind of like narcissism.
In a way. I mean, this is only an instrument. It's not to be discarded. It's to be loved, cared for. It's to be used for the good of others. For life, for society, not selfishly. But how can we do that if we are thinking we are waves, we are bulbs, we are clouds? Disconnected, illusions. It's impossible. Everyone has a different way of serving others. Some people can be in the midst of society. Some people can be on top of a mountain meditating. All are important. The vibrations, spiritual vibrations, sent to the world by people meditating, maybe somewhere in solitude, those are so important. It's not that, sometimes people criticize, others, yogis, it's living in the cave, what is he doing for the society? Selfishness, lost in meditation. Those people have no idea what they are talking about. Without those vibrations sent to the world by those souls, probably the world would disappear in a second, probably. Divine vibrations, spiritual vibrations. Everyone has a goal, has a way of serving. There may be somewhere in the world, you can see a beggar on the street. We may not know, maybe that's a self-realized soul. In bliss, just living that way, maybe that's his way of serving others.
Who are you to judge? Yeah.
That's right. His mere existence, his living, is service to the whole universe. Not only to the world, to the whole universe. Vibrations are affecting everything, just like the ripples, in a pond. That beggar may seem like a beggar, but he or she may be a completely self-realized soul acting as a beggar. We may not kind of delve into all those great souls and find their truth. It's there in them. Candle is burning effortlessly. It's illuminating, right? Everywhere, effortlessly. If we live like this, it's actually effortless. It may look like it's effortful. Practicing voice every day, practicing piano every day, practicing drums every day. I'm not making an effort. I'm not making any effort. I'm just living happily.
I'm glad you came back around to that. A lot of what we're doing here, kind of just belaboring this whole philosophy, in the end, I do think it's profoundly simple. Yeah. I do think it's, in short, it's just a matter of loving and understanding what love means, not in a sadistic way, but in a way that is true to our innate understanding of it, like not wanting to hurt others.
Otherwise, it cannot be love.
Yeah.
Love only has one meaning. We ascribe so many different meanings to the word love, but it has only one meaning, right? Attraction is not love. Sexual desire is not love. Wanting something is not love. Desiring something is not love. Love is desireless. How can be any desire in the one? There is no space. It's full. It doesn't need anything. Love can be experienced between parts, but only if those parts are based on the truth that transcends the parts. Waves can experience love only if they are aware of their oceanness. Bulbs can experience love if they are aware of the electricity. Fingers can experience love if they are aware of the same blood going through them. There is always a unifying factor. And this unifying factor is the truth itself. The problem is people are trying to see it. People are trying to smell it, hear it, touch it, taste it. Those are limited human senses. People are trying to think it. It's beyond thought. It's transcendental. And it is the easiest thing to reach. Love. Love should not be that hard to experience. It's about loving ourselves. People hate themselves. Most people, that's the problem. How can a wave that hates itself love other waves?
M. Scott Peck wrote The Road Less Traveled and talks about love, and to love is to affect another's independence and spiritual growth is kind of what he says. But he also says you have to love yourself before you can love others.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Love is not an emotion. At the core, it is not an emotion. It is awareness. It is the awareness of the one, the expression of it, emotion, feeling, that manifests, those emotions manifest themselves, or that emotion manifests itself based on what is beyond emotion. So love never changes. Emotions change, feelings change, if they are not based on the unchanging.
Senses change.
That's right. So that's the thing, right? Going back to differentiating between unreal and real. What is the criteria? What is the litmus test? What changes can never be real. There is only one thing that never changes. It has never changed, it is not changing, and it will never change. That foundation is what we are. That is, knowingly or unknowingly, what Muslims call Allah, what Christians call Father or Jesus, what Hindus call Rama, Krishna, Baba, doesn't matter. All names and forms belong to the same nameless and formless entity. It exists, it is the only thing that exists. And the only way to discover that is to become one with that. That is the inner journey, that is the life's journey. Everyone, everything, every atom, every plant, every animal, every human is on this journey towards that, knowingly or unknowingly. All the energies, all the rivers are flowing towards the same ocean. Let's not look for it out there. We cannot find it that way. We can get closer, but ultimately, this is life. We start here, we make a circle, we arrive at the same point we started the whole journey. What is the only difference? Awareness. Now we know. When we started, we didn't know. When we completed the circle, now we are aware. We know who we are. That means I never changed. The soul became aware of the I. It realized its essence. The wave realized the ocean within. Ultimately, what this means, even the soul is an illusion. Nothing but the truth is truth. Because that's the only thing that never changes.
True knowledge is to know that you know what you know and that you do not know what you do not know.
That makes sense.
It's so simple, you know. It brings in awareness and all that, you know. It brings in everything you're talking about.
Yes. Yeah, so knowledge too is only a step, right? It serves its purpose and we must rise above knowledge too. All these things that we are using, all these tools that we are using in this journey, we should appreciate them, but we should never create attachment to any of them. Because in the final step of merging with the divine, even the desire for the divine should disappear. Otherwise, it acts as an obstacle. If you are desiring something, there is the illusion of two, but you are one. Advaita, they call it in India, non-dualism. Non-dualism, Advaita. This, I believe, is universal. I believe it's universal. Are we able to rise above everything we believe in, everything we have learned so far in our lives? All thoughts, all knowledge, all concepts, everything. Are we able to put them aside? Then only we'll be face to face with our own truth. Those are important, not all of them in my opinion, because sometimes they act as barriers, as obstacles. In my view, it is critical to maintain the awareness of the seer. The seer never becomes the seen. The seer is always the seer. I can only perceive what I am not. In essence, everything is the same, but if I'm perceiving something, what I perceive is not what I am, as what I perceive.
Like, you never truly understand another person. You never truly know another person, you know. And then even Tony Robbins, you know, he says, nothing means anything except for the meaning you assign it. You're making me think of these things. Kind of like the eyewitness testimony. That was another thing in sociology where 10 people in the same situation and they all see the same thing, but they all have a different interpretation of it.
That's very interesting. Yeah. I'm so glad you mentioned this. We should apply this immediately to what we have been discussing. Truth is beyond interpretation. There is a world open to all. In my view, anyone who enters that world experiences the same thing. All waves if they rise above the egos, persons, waveness, they experience the same ocean. Because that experience is not based on interpretation or emotion. It is the experience of that, living that. Now, we can manifest it in different ways in life. Different roles, different people, different humans. But imagine a world, when I say world, not this kind of world, but an entity. Something that whoever enters that, it can be meditation, it can be this and that, experiences the same thing. I believe that's what's happening. That is what many people have been experiencing throughout history. In different cultures, different religions, different paths. That depends on dying. Not physical dying, but the death of ego. When the ego dies, there's only one. There's the experience of only one. The one is always there, whether there is ego or not. It's always there. But for the soul to experience that, the ego must go. What is ego? False self. Where does it live? In the mind. Once we realize we are not the body, we are not the mind, we are free. We are free. These are instruments. Body, mind, different faculties, these are instruments. How do you know this is yourself? This is the body.
Because I feel it.
Who feels it?
I do.
Who is that I?
I am.
Now, is that I the body?
I feel like it is.
Close your eyes.
Okay.
Look into your mind. Create a flower. A yellow flower. Who is seeing that?
I am.
Who is that I?
Me.
Well, yes, now your eyes are closed. Is the body seeing that inner picture you just created?
Well, since my mind is part of my body, yes.
How do you know? How do you know if your mind is part of your body?
Because if my brain's spelt out, I wouldn't see anything.
How do you know? How do you know if the brain is the mind?
Because if I had brain damage, I wouldn't be able to respond.
How do we know that people who are in coma are dead? Maybe they are experiencing things that we are not aware of. So the basic point I'm making is this. Look at your body. I'm not even talking about touching. Look at your body.
Yeah.
Who is seeing that? Now, is it the body seeing the body? Is it the eyes seeing? When your eyes are closed, where are you creating that picture of the flower? Where? It's not in the body, but where? You close your eyes and you created that image somewhere. Where is that place? What is that? Can it be the mind?
That's what we call it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Who is seeing that?
I am.
Right.
Yeah.
That means you are not the body, you are not the mind. You are seeing those.
I mean, if you could separate them, you could say that. If you could take my body away from my mind, my mind away from my body.
And they are separate.
I mean, if you could, they weren't inseparable, but they seem inseparable.
Perception can only take place if there are at least two different things. In oneness, there is no perception. Oneness is not a perception. It is the experience itself, beyond perception. If perception is taking place, that proves there is something that perceives and there is something that is perceived. The perception, the act of perceiving, is taking place between the two. Aren't you perceiving your body? Aren't you perceiving your mind? When I say perceive, you can say see, to see. That doesn't mean to see with the eyes. It's seeing, perceiving. Any kind of perceiving. There is something that sees all these layers. Once we realize that what we perceive is not what we are, then we can start peeling off the layers of illusion. I see my body. Now, why am, glasses. Why am I not saying, I am the glasses? I have these glasses. I have this body. I have those. I am not that, I am not this. I am nothing but I. Mind. You can create all kinds of images. You can play whole symphonies in your mind. in your mind. In your mind. It's an instrument.
Yeah.
Now, when you look at your mind, when you see a picture, a beautiful picture, right? There's an accompanying emotion, right? So if you change that flower, for example, you created, to a very bad scene, a terrible scene, emotions will change. Who is seeing those emotions?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So you are not the emotions. Emotions are not seeing the emotions. Picture is not seeing the picture. Mind is not seeing the mind. Body is not seeing the body. There is something that is seeing all these layers. Only the subtler can see the subtle. We don't need to focus on this is that layer, what is that layer? The basic thing we need to focus on is this. What is changing? What is unchanging? In that whole experience, there are changing things, but there is always an unchanging entity. That is I. Not personal. That is I. There is only one unchanging thing, and only you, only I, only he, only she, only people themselves can discover that through that experience. The body is changing, the mind is changing, the pictures are changing, the emotions are changing, the movie is changing, the screen is unchanging. Pure awareness. Consciousness is related to the movie, our relationship with the movie. Consciousness requires matter. Awareness doesn't require anything. It's pure being. This is the meditation. This is the ultimate meditation. When we meditate, we should separate these. What is changing? What is unchanging? What is a passing cloud? What is appearing and then disappearing? What is there that never changes? You will realize that's you. It was there before this body was born. It is there now, and it will always be there, even after this body is gone.
Kind of like my first question, which we're still on, why you went vegan. When you were always vegan, it was always there, right?
Being vegan, that is related to the human experience.
When I'm learning, I feel like veganism is the last, maybe this isn't the right way to phrase it, last frontier. It's the last frontier toward this collective truth. Once we've achieved that, then we can live vertically in time outside of the shackles of the material world. People I'm finding that live most purest in this way, they seem to exemplify what you're talking about here. And I almost feel like the only way to truly get there is to be vegan, among many other things as well, but quintessentially, it's evidenced through living as a vegan.
I agree. If we are living in this awareness, then we don't harm. So veganism is critical, but I still make this point that no path is greater than who you are. Veganism is only an expression of living as you, in that awareness. We cannot have self-realization and then go and harm other sentient beings, especially if it is completely unnecessary. No human needs animal products. Absolutely. No human. It's not meant for humans. Animal products are not meant for humans, ultimately. Now, again, going back to our earlier discussion, in yoga, certain, milk products are allowed in limited amounts. No eggs, no meat. Traditionally, in India, for example, they are lacto-vegetarian traditionally. It may be helpful for people in limited amounts, but that doesn't mean that's necessary, ultimately. My experience, and I'm sure we'll discuss that. I'd like to ask you this. So we talked about, who is seeing the body, who is seeing the mind, who is seeing the emotions, who is seeing the soul, who is seeing all of these. If you ask that question to yourself, if you are completely open, that experience is there. And the thing is, it is not the creation of the mind. You are seeing the mind. You are outside of the mind. Mind is not creating you. People may say, oh, well, maybe you are just illusioning, you are hallucinating. There is perfect awareness in this experience. I am seeing the body, I am seeing the mind, I am seeing the soul, I am seeing all these emotions, I am seeing all these passing clouds. I am aware of I, unchanging. Meditation should serve this purpose. It should take every soul to that same goal. It should take all the waves to the same ocean, even though they are never separate. But if they believe they are waves separate, that mental game, that illusion itself is the problem. No drop is outside of the ocean. It's always part of the ocean.
I mean, as soon as the wave gets outside of the ocean, it dries up and disappears.
That's right. And yes, and in that sense, all are one. Drops are illusions, waves are illusions. Separate human beings, individuals are illusions. This finger can say, I'm an individual, I'm free, this and that, It's not. And the thing is, the meaning of freedom, what is freedom? If someone is thinking, freedom means I can do whatever I want, I'm independent, that is my freedom. Is that freedom? What does freedom mean?
If somebody's free to do what they want, doesn't that mean others might not be free in the process?
That's right.
Yeah.
And no one is free to do whatever he or she wants. No one. Not because of a book, not because of an idea, but because of the one.
Yeah, the universality.
That's right. That is the basis. A person who may have read all kinds of books, who may have finished all kinds of schools, who may have gotten all kinds of degrees, compared to, say, a peasant on top of a mountain, never read any books, nothing, but living in this truth. Reading doesn't necessarily make someone self-realized. Bookish knowledge, filling the mind with information. Information, if it's not causing transformation, it's trash, nothing. Just information, here. Where's the heart? It's here. Useless, waste of time, waste of lives, chasing dragons. Follow your dreams, follow your dreams. Why should I follow any dream? What is the importance of a dream? What dream can be more important than truth? Dream is not truth. Truth can never be a dream. If my dream is to find truth, fine. If dreams want to follow me, that's fine. I'm not following any dreams. I don't need to follow any dreams. This is another kind of message society. Follow your dreams, follow your dreams. And people, as they try to follow the dreams, they may not realize that they are going away from the truth. False values. This is important. If you do this, if you accomplish this, great. You are a great human being. Don't question my beliefs. It's my belief. I eat meat. It's my belief. My religion says that's fine. ISIS fighters. What do they believe? Oh, God said go and kill it. They believe. Should I respect that? No. Why should I respect your belief that you believe you need to eat animals? I question every belief, and I have the right. Not because I'm more important than anyone else, just because I'm following my heart. If I'm following my heart, I have my humble authority to question things accordingly. No, you do not have the right to kill, harm, especially considering that what humans harm and kill are creatures who cannot react. Cows, those gentle creatures, chickens. If there was a giant animal, if there were herds of giant animals, what would humans do? They would run away. Hitler, what did he do? We all know what he did. Did he have the right to do that? No. Why did he do that? He believed what he was doing was right. He even believed that he was doing it in the name of God. These are the crazy things, crazy ideas. Now, what is the difference between what Hitler did to Jews and what humans are doing to animals? Nothing. There may be some differences in terms of, the edges and colors, this and that, but in essence, none.
It's all violence.
Yes. So people are living, sometimes unfortunately in the name of God, like Nazis. And I have no hesitation to say this. And I've made many posts, especially after the PITA contest, etc. in my activism, so many posts, and I'm proud of every post. Not egotistically, but because
Staying in line with the truth.
That's right. That's right. Walden Local Meat. I had been listening to a classical music channel for years here in Boston. About 2 years ago, I started to hear these ads. Walden Local Meat, fresh meat, local, healthy, this and that. I said, what's happening here? Classical music channel, getting these ads. And I contacted them. I shared my opinion that this is not right. You know, the bloody ads. I'm here to listen to classical music. But of course, you know, in classical music too, composers.
It's like Clockwork Orange or something. Clockwork Orange?
What is that?
There's some classical music and violence going on in that movie.
Well, yeah, I want to come to that. So, you know, as I was going through this experience, you know, I thought, well, in classical music too, certain composers wrote haunting music. You know, and how did I come to this point? I made this big post titled, If Art Opened the Heart. If Art Opened the Heart. And it's on Facebook. Everyone can go and read it. It's public. It's all about this. The problem is not the mind. Mind is a divine instrument, in my view. But what we put in our minds, those dark thoughts, creating the illusion of separation, creating those entitlements to do things based on that illusion. I have the right to kill that animal. I have the right to hunt. I have the right to do that, to do this. They are in the mind. The problem, those are like those viruses or strange programs running in a computer. Right? The problem is not the computer. The problem is those viruses. A clean diet is only a part of this whole spiritual process to cleanse the mind. Then the mind will reflect the truth that is in the heart. The moon does not create light. It only reflects the light of the sun. This is the moon, this is the sun. We need to cleanse this mirror. All those blemishes, all those spots, dark spots, dirt, negative thoughts, illusions, all of those. That is the spiritual journey. We cannot do that if we are eating death, if we are eating suffering. What is milk? In the West, factory farms, all that stuff, milk is nothing but the tears of the cows. People are drinking tears. People are eating, drinking death, suffering, and they are expecting a healthy life, a joyful life. It will never happen.
You know, a lot of people mention consuming fear. Consuming, it has been brought up in many interviews, and I'm probably going to make a compilation out of that at some point. You're talking about so many things here, and it seems complicated, I'm sure, to some. At the same time, it's simple, and you've mentioned that it is simple. And I really feel like it all goes back to just finding what it means to love. Right. You know, like that to me is, right. Like I said earlier, I'm learning about the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine. And I'm at a point in my life where I'm realizing it's not just nutrition, and it's not the other 5 pillars. Quintessentially, without love, none of this works.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Without love, everything's meaningless.
You know, some people say, you know, oh, vegans get sick too. You know, vegans get cancer, vegans get heart disease. There's so much more to these diseases than just not eating a certain way.
Absolutely,
or, you know,
absolutely.
And, we might endure a lot of hate or pain or empathy towards others' suffering, and social isolation, and you know, and it's hard to love yourself in the context of others that are so disengaged with the truth. You know, it's really.
That's right.
Hard.
That is the sad scene. Disengaged, yeah. Right? On top of that, if the person is thinking, "Oh, I'm a pious person, I'm doing good things," that is the saddest scene, right? Some people may say, "I don't care. I eat my animal, I eat my meat. You know, I don't care." That's one picture. On the other hand, you have, unfortunately, other people. I'm a good person. I'm doing God's work. I'm doing all good things. We were talking about this, the disharmony between thought, word, and deed. You may be good in thought. How about the deed?
I interviewed somebody pretty profoundly philosophical, and they said the hardest person to get through to is somebody who doesn't care. I mean, that's the worst case scenario.
I'm glad you mentioned that. We can reach into the heart of a person who may say, I don't care. If that person is open, if that person is saying, I don't care, openly, that's one picture, right? There are people who are asleep, but they pretend to be awake. You can never reach them. Only karma will awaken them. Those are the ones, they really need help, but they are beyond help. Even God cannot help them, in my view. That doesn't mean we need to hate. Love is unconditional.
We don't know if they're asleep and awake or awake and awake.
We may know or we may not know. But ultimately, if someone is truly asleep, but dreaming that person is awake, or pretending he is awake, that person is beyond help. But there are people who are open to receive help. Now, of course, we are not saying, we are in a position to help. That's not what we are saying. We are not putting ourselves above anyone else. What we are saying is, if someone is open to receive help, my mother gave me a book. I was ready to receive it. She wasn't even trying to make me a vegetarian, right? I read that and I woke up. I was ready. But if I said this, if my mother gives me that and I say, well, I know the truth, but this religion says that, your science says this, humans need animals. Then I would just create my mental screen. I would just yes. So being asleep and then pretending to be awake. That book would do nothing to me if I were in that condition. My message to all vegans in the world, if you want to help others, if you want to awaken others, we should stop calling ourselves vegan, because the moment we do that, we create division and separation. The moment we say we are vegan, then there are non-vegans. Certain times and places, it may be necessary to say vegan, etc. That's fine. But if we are creating this attachment, I am vegan, that's another illusion. I am nothing but I. I am not vegan, I am not vegan, I am nothing but I. Attachment is the problem. False selves. True attachments, false selves. If I want to help others, love. Drown that person in the vibrations of love. You don't even have to say anything. That person may not be in the same room, in the same house, in the same community, on the other side of the world. As long as you are able to see that person and drown that person in love. Drown in love.
I like that Zach Bush. There was one part of it that really just resonated with me. Thought about it a couple times here with you. And that is, he says, throughout history, you have the victims and you have the perpetrators. And there's like one side of the coin is the victim, one side is the perpetrator. And they flip. A lot of times the victim becomes a perpetrator, and the perpetrator becomes a victim, and it just keeps going back and forth and back and forth. And the only way to get out of that vicious cycle, he says, is to get creative. That's where I think you are now in this. You're saying a vegan would be like an advocate, like holding up a sign or something. I am a vegan, you're not a vegan,
That's not actually very, very helpful,
Yeah, we are the victims. There's victims all over the place. You're the perpetrator, and it just kind of creates this identity dichotomy that you're talking about here that I think a lot of vegans mature out of eventually, and then they use their skills to be creative with it. Like you use music, and I'm sure somehow that your veganism pervades through that, right? And I'm using my cameras as, instead of holding up a sign saying, I think it's important for me to say it.
Right.
At the same time.
When necessary, of course.
Yeah. Just to kind of interject why this love we're showering them with exists. And like, where does this love come from? Give it a name, but it doesn't necessarily encompass everything. I mean, it's a reflection of being consistent with that at the core, I think. Because once we can love ourselves enough to love others, and extend that to animals, we've overcome a lot of things.
Absolutely. And you said something very interesting, love others. When we love, there won't be others. You will see yourself everywhere. You will see yourself, my chipmunk friends, my bird friends, bunnies, all of them. They are I. I'm not loving something else. I'm loving myself in them. And they are feeling that. I feel it, I'm seeing it. They are loving me back. Love is not vibration, but it causes certain vibrations. Those are high vibrations. Love is not a poetic idea. It is not a mental game. It is the expression of truth in life. When we live that, we love. If we are loving, we are living. If we are living in that awareness, we are loving. To realize there are no others is love. To see yourself in others or other things, how do you say, animate, inanimate? Everything, everything. And I truly believe everything feels. An atom feels, a plant feels, a rock feels, everything feels. There was a legendary scientist in India. His last name was Bose, B-O-S-E. He developed a device to really look deep into, I think, metal. He observed how metal reacts to certain things. Now, I'm sure I'm not able to recall all the details, but I actually read this in the classic, the autobiography of a yogi, Paramahansa Yogananda. It's there. Whether we see it or not, we may not see that this mirror here, for example, we may not see that it's reacting, but we may feel it. If we feel ourselves, we will feel the others. I have these kinds of experiences. Again, anything that I've been sharing today, nothing makes me more important than anyone else. This person does not exist as this person. I mean, this whole conversation, not whole conversation, but many things that we discussed today points to that. This is an illusion. That doesn't mean it is unimportant, right? Realizing what we are not doesn't mean we need to put it in trash or we need to kill it. On the contrary, yoga means union. We unite all the layers of the being in this awareness. We unite. Peeling off the layers of illusion should lead to uniting all the layers of the human being in this spiritual awareness, like the thread going through the beads of the rosary. We are talking, deep things, we are talking about different things, different examples, but ultimately, it's so simple. What do we experience in deep sleep, right? Everyone is experiencing the same thing, deep sleep. Peace, bliss, because there the soul is in perfect communion and union with the source. That's why it's blissful. Imagine you wake up in the morning and you are maintaining that state. That is freedom. Freedom has only one meaning. Contrary to whoever may say in the West especially, freedom has only one meaning. Maintaining awareness in that deep sleep state, bringing that deep sleep state to this waking state, meaning maintaining your self-awareness and that experience all the time. Waking state, dream state, deep sleep state, and there is also a state called Turiya. But whatever the names, the truth remains. There is only one unchanging thing. Whether we give it a name or not, it doesn't matter. Everyone can meditate, everyone can turn within and can ask this question. What is passing? What is starting? What is disappearing? What is going through? Who is seeing all of these? Who is seeing these passing clouds? Is there something that never changes? Everyone can answer this question. This is the true meditation in my view. I respect all different kinds of meditation, but if the meditation is focusing the soul on the body needlessly, creating attachment, or the mind, etc., that's I don't think that's true meditation. True meditation should not direct the focus of the soul away from the source. It should help the soul turn within and move towards the self. Only that activity which helps with this, in my view, is true meditation. It can be any activity, right? It can be, as we discussed, music, art, maybe a relationship. It doesn't have to be a body relationship. It can be any kind of relationship. I mean, a relationship with an animal. If you have a cat, the same essence is in that cat. And that relationship with that cat can be a great experience for spiritual progress, journey. And I'm sure there are many people who have been experiencing this.
Yeah, because you have an opportunity there to experience the oneness with the cat.
Yes.
So, it kind of reminds me.
That's love, right there.
It reminds me of to love is to stop comparing, which I thought was kind of neat. It was just like a really short little sentence somebody said to me one time. Why they said it was probably because I was being mean. But to love is to stop comparing, and I'll never forget that. And it's a beautiful thing. I kind of like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it reminds me of a lot of what you're saying here. Like if I'm comparing myself to the animal, I'm separating myself from the animal. If I'm comparing myself to somebody else, I'm thinking about how I'm different. I'm thinking about these material things. And also another thing that came to mind was there's this historic case, it's called the DAC case, where in college class, Death, Dying, and Living, my professor presented this DAX case. This father and son, they were in a car, they pulled over.
My father got out of the car, raised the hood, tried to prime the carburetor while I turned the ignition. For 3 or 4 minutes, we could not get the car to fire, and about the time that I felt that we were going to run the battery down, a flame shot from the carburetor, and then moments later there was a tremendous explosion. The blast from the explosion rocked me over into the car seat.
When the explosion happened in 1973, I was burned so severely and in so much pain that I did not want to live, even in the early moments following the explosion.
The son ends up like burnt, like limbs off, and he's just like this nub of a body essentially. And they show him getting like physical therapy, and he's being submerged in water to cool the heating and heal the body or whatever, and he's just screaming and he just kill me, I want to die, I want to die, I want to die.
That reminded me of Metallica 1.
Yeah, exactly, yes.
One of the things that I've done that I never thought I would do, listen with the Spirit, and you will hear the emotions of your brother's heart. Speak with the Spirit, and your brother will hear the emotions of your heart. And when you and your brother speak and listen to each other with the Spirit, your spirits will touch. Be real. Step into yourself. Cling to all that is you. Release all that is not. For it is here, in the deep blue heaven of these high places, that we soar on wings that are our own and ride the currents of our soul.
Some people believe, or most people believe, there's only one life to live. I don't think so. People don't even remember what they did 2 years ago in a certain date. How can they claim, they had no other lives prior to that? This journey is not only a human journey. Human life is not the pinnacle necessarily. I mean, this is a long journey from mineral to plant to animal to human. Soul is journeying.
Say it again. Mineral to plant, plant to animal, animal to human.
Right.
You're almost making it sound like we need to eat the animal.
No, absolutely not. This journey doesn't mean that, if there are these layers, if you are here, you need to eat what you were before. That's not what I'm saying.
Well, because the plant takes in the mineral, then the animal takes in the plant and gets the mineral.
Oh, that doesn't require that humans need to eat the animal.
Yeah.
Only humans can realize the self. Only humans. Animals don't have self-realization. They have the self in them, but not the realization.
Some do. I mean, they evidence it through like mirror experiments.
But that's not self-realization. We're talking about realization. The soul is journeying towards self-realization. But human is not the final stop. A human is not more important than any other life form. The same self exists in all forms, life forms. This is so important. When we see this self in everything, when we love and respect that, then only there will be peace in ourselves and in entire life.
It's very humbling, you know, I imagine getting to that point. And how might one practice meditating on this accurately or properly?
Here is what I would focus on. Who am I? If there are no attachments, you know, oh, I am this body, I need to make this live healthily as long as possible. That's an attachment, right? What is it based on? False identification, body identification. But if we ask this question openly, with an open mind, who am I? Let's focus on that sense of I am. Let's hold on to it. And just that will take us to the goal. Just keeping that in the mind, in the heart, everywhere, in our whole being. I am. Who am I? I am. What is that I? I am. I am. I am I. We'll realize that I am I. That means I. Because I and I are the same thing. If you are saying this is the short I, this is the big I am I, great. That means the soul is merging with the divine. If you are approaching those I's differently, small I, big I, soul, universe, yes. Great. That means the small I is saying I am I, merge. Wave, merge with the ocean. If we are saying great, big I, it's the same thing. I. That sense of existence, it's everywhere. No one can say I don't exist.
You know, in the comment section of these videos, I get people trying to debate, and it's like
I'm not debating anymore.
Well,
useless, waste of time.
What I've said here recently a few times, it's like debating my existence. Are you going to try to prove that I don't exist? There's nothing to debate here.
That's right. That's right. If there is anything to be debated, and that is what we think we are and what others think we are. Those can be debated. Those are illusions. The problem is, we say, well, I am this person, I am this, I am that, I am this, I am that. You don't exist as those things. That's the thing. You exist as you only, and it will never change. And it doesn't need to change, it cannot change. What lives in the mind does not like this. Because this truth kills the ego. That's why the ego does everything it can to just run away from this. Run away from this. Lurking in the dark. But there is no escape. Ego is an illusion. It lives in the mind, and we can take action once we stop identifying ourselves with the mind. Mind is an instrument. Body, mind, these are instruments. These are not what we are. Once we realize this, we can take action on them. If we identify ourselves with the body and the mind and the person, then that's in general what we see all around us. People living as slaves to their senses, believing what they are experiencing is freedom.
Yeah. You know, this reminds me of something in regard to social or cultural expectations. We have to go out and get this, you know, get a job and get married, and you're supposed to do all these things very highly revered in the culture. God forbid you should veer away from that, because then it's almost as if you're causing everybody else to question why they're even doing these things. The more in tune I become with what I think I've just found to be the truth, the more I do feel free, not shackled by these cultural expectations, but instead doing what's right for me and living my life to the fullest. And I'm finding that manifest more and more. As long as I have good intentions, I keep evolving despite how old I get. I'm going to be 50 this year, and it's like I'm about to be starting my whole life over again. And I have no problem with that, because I don't need to be anchored by my accomplishments. I don't need to be anchored by the material things I've gathered. You know, I want to shed all of that. And to me, that's a material example of shedding the ego. And it's very liberating. And then I can embrace the beauty of simplicity and live a more fulfilling life because it's just so much more peaceful and clean and clear. It's not this eroding material thing that I might have used to define who I am at some point. You know, it's perfect timing for this interview. You know, we talked about doing this a year ago. You know, so many things just seem to happen to force other things into being the right time. And I couldn't have planned this better myself. You know, I couldn't have been like, oh, I'm going to do this at 50. You know, I'm going to live through all these trials and errors, have the capacity for applied failure and then when I'm 50, this is going to happen. And it's going to be perfect. I would have never anticipated this, and it seems perfect to me. Everything, all my failures, all my accomplishments, it all, like, it's just coming into this blossoming new thing, and it's only because of good intentions that I feel like all of this was able to happen. And those good intentions were simply a reflection of how I perceived the truth and how I wanted to be in harmony with the truth, and how that's driven me every step of the way. Just wanted to kind of share that because the things you're saying resonate with me. It's funny because some people that I've really grown fond of recently just always keep saying the same thing, like, we can talk about all these details and get carried away, but the simplicity is just go, this is what he says, just go eat your vegetables. You know, that's what he keeps saying. Yeah. Just go eat your vegetables. Yeah. You know, and it's like every time we have this conversation, it's like, oh, we could talk about the microbiome, we could talk about heart disease, we could talk about, you know, the animals, we could talk about this, that, and the other, but the most simple thing is just, you know, he kept saying, go eat your vegetables, and it solves all of this. But to me, go find love, to me, is like really where it's at. And
in you.
Yeah.
Finding that in you. Finding yourself.
Yeah.
That natural, I mean, because you are love. To experience love, there should be different forms, right? You know, in one is beyond love. Truth is beyond love. To experience love, there should be at least two things, right? Within that one.
Yeah. It could be anything. It could be
different life forms. Humans, animals, different life forms. The same essence is in all of them. They can love each other, but the truth is beyond love. Right?
So it's the oneness that love taps into.
That's right. Yeah. May I kind of jump around some? Yeah. So it's all related to these, but I have these observations, right? For example, many people in the world would condemn Hitler and like-minded people. Why? Because we know what he did. Some people may not know why he did that, right? But in his mind, he was doing the right thing, right? In his mind, right? It's a mental problem. It's not a spiritual problem.
It's the body thing.
Yes. So he identified himself with the body and the mind, created that ego and applied it to life in a destructive way. If he didn't believe that he was the body and the connected mind, then he would not have done any of these. So it's mental dirt, those mental craziness. Now, people who condemn Hitler or Nazism, etc., what are they doing? Many of them. They are doing the same thing to animals. What is racism based on?
Violence.
Body.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Body identification. People are identifying themselves with their bodies. They are saying, I am white, I am black, I am red, I am green, I am purple. Bodies. A black-colored body, a white-colored body. Bodies, not I. A black bulb, a white bulb, a red bulb, a green bulb, same electricity in them. A gray cloud, white cloud, black cloud, same sky. Without the sky, they don't exist. Yeah. Without the electricity, the bulbs don't exist. Without blood, these fingers don't exist. I may color this black, this white, this red, same blood. Love can manifest itself only when the blood is lived by these fingers.
When you stop comparing.
Right. It is quite unfortunate. You know, I'm hearing this on radio. You know, for someone who did something wrong in terms of race relations, I will take this course about race relations. I will be fine. Next time it won't happen. What course? Race relations? What course? without realizing the blood, what can you fix just by focusing on the fingers and the colors of the fingers? It's just superfluous. The intentions may be good, but blacks are thinking they are black, whites are thinking they are white. As long as these thoughts are there, there won't be peace ever. Now, that doesn't mean they are bad people. That's not what I'm saying, you know. These illusions are there. Blacks are thinking they are black. Whites are thinking they are white. They aren't. They are not black or white. They are they. I am I. These are mental problems. If I think I am black or I am white, if I think you are a different color, you are a different color, right? Identification. Going back to the root cause. Body identification.
I am male, I am female, I am straight, I am gay, I am fat, I am skinny, I am
That's
tall,
right.
I am short, I am bald, I am hairy.
All of these come after am, I am. Those live in the mind. Those are only thoughts. Those do not represent the truth that all are one and the same. All are one and the same. Not only one, but the same. They are one because they are the same. This is a man, right? Just because I realize I don't cancel my gender. We need to live our roles in the awareness of truth. Truth is beyond all of these. Genders, colors, divisions, all these labels. That also doesn't mean that once we realize the self, we cancel our roles in life, right? If this is a man, this is a man. And I love it. I respect that. If that's a woman, I respect that. It doesn't mean that the game of life has certain, characters in it, right? If that's an animal, I don't treat it like a plant. If this is light, I don't treat it like darkness. In other words, we should put all of these in context. For example, a judge in the court, respected, gives orders, etc. But he goes home, grandfather, his grandson is playing with him. He may be a horse under his grandson at home. The same judge, different role, right? He cannot go home and I'm a judge. You cannot do this. With my grandson, right? Or just because we say everything is love, great. Now I will go and have an affair with that woman who has a husband. This is about dharma. Dharma means, in this context, playing our role also properly in life.
An Inuit may need to eat an animal, or the Maasai, they may need to eat an animal because they're in such a dire, desperate situation where the Dharma is okay
Absolutely.
with that. But when we have access, which is a blatantly obvious thing, but we have to say this because sometimes people are like, well, what about, and I'm like, well, what about you?
Yes.
The Inuit isn't you. You are somewhere where you have access, presumably, otherwise you wouldn't be on the internet, talking to me, where you could also order some vegetables.
I'm glad you mentioned this. Now, yes. So this is a sensitive subject because people may take this to give themselves a kind of unnecessary license. Oh, well, if they can eat, well, I can eat animals. It's about, again, dharma, specific conditions. If your survival depends on, unfortunately, temporarily consuming an animal, that may have to be the case. We can always encourage people to examine, is it absolutely necessary that you are doing this? Because, as humans, we are very, open to go to, the path of least resistance, right? That's easy. Or creating these justifications. Oh, because that's inexpensive. Oh, that's easy. Or, what? I don't know. People are saying all kinds of things. I will do the, most secure thing for my health. I will eat meat. There's no such thing. Going back to our spiritual, points we discussed. Under any circumstance, we can learn how to be above any circumstance, in my view. If we follow the voice of the heart. That is not a voice created by the mind. That voice is real. And we can really tune into it and we can follow it. That may require great discipline, great. But all clouds can turn within and can hear the voice of sky. That's conscience. Speaking in and through the clouds, to the clouds. We may not know science, we may not have books, we may not have certain experiences. But if we really trust what we are, our truth, and if we really listen to it, we hear its voice. And we cannot go wrong if we do that. That is, heart can never go wrong.
Even in the face of adversity, resistance, whatever kind of opposition, as long as there's been good intentions, something good has come out of it.
Yeah, yes. Yes, as long as those good intentions are an expression of you. Because as we discussed, an ISIS fighter has good intentions, according to him, right?
The best, I should say.
Yeah.
I like qualifying it with that because it keeps things simple and at the same time in line with the truth, which the best intentions would be in line with, not just good intentions in an isolated, dangerous way.
I understand, yeah.
Is there another way to dharmatic intentions?
Well, no, I would say just following the heart, and the intentions will appear, right? In the manifestation.
You're right. It is following the heart. Yeah.
Right. So we can say best, we can good, but they may be subjective. Different people may approach it differently. Hitler had his best intentions according to him, or good intentions, even though they were nothing but bad. It's that simple.
Maybe it should be something like universally good intentions.
Absolutely. Yes. If we can universalize it, great. We cannot universalize harming and killing or imprisoning. But we can universalize love because it is universal. Before 1996, prior to 1996, before my mother gave me that book, I was the same I. The person changed, not I. Now, there are many people living just like Bülent prior to 1996. Good hearts, disconnected actions.
They might know what person they are, but they don't know who they are.
Yes. Making the connection between our actions and the consequences of those actions, right? As I said, there are many people living just like the way I used to live, right? Eating animals, thinking I was a good person, indirectly exploiting animals, funding those industries of hell, factory farms, even butchers. It doesn't matter whether it's a factory farm or.
Well, the factory farm is inevitable because it's unsustainable and because it's not meant to be, because it's not in line with the truth.
Say butcher shop, something like that. Yeah. Even that, in my world, it should not exist in my view.
Or the hunter, even.
Absolutely. People who say, let's go and relax, let's catch some fish. Let's go and, hunt some deer. It will feel good. These are mental illnesses.
Yeah.
There's
actually, it's called zoosadism.
Really?
Zoosadism. Children who are at risk for violent tendencies that tend to become the most violent people start off harming animals.
There you go. Yeah. I would believe that.
Serial killers harmed animals as children.
Yeah, that was their training ground, unfortunately, those innocent animals.
When people are indifferent to the consumption of that, it's like a form of cannibalism of sorts.
Yes, absolutely. If you want to help people realize what they are doing, if you want to help them awaken, we want to focus on the unifying factor, and that is the self. If I go and say, I'm vegan, you are not, I'm right, you are wrong. I may be right. What you are doing is unethical. It's unnecessary.
But you're getting away from the universal I.
That's right.
Truth.
If I want to reach the heart of that person, I shouldn't try to do that this way, through the mind. If I say, I'm vegan, immediately I create that wall. So this is so important. Yes, of course we can say I'm vegan, etc. But ultimately, what we want to focus on is this. I am not vegan. You are not vegan. I am not non-vegan. You are not non-vegan. In other words, get rid of these. What is the unifying factor? I. We are we. Of course, we can talk about why it is unnecessary to eat, to consume animal products. I never say animal foods.
Because you don't want to.
Because that's not food for humans.
That way, yeah.
Unfortunately, even the wonderful doctors, the plant-based doctors, vegan doctors, the words are powerful. Yeah. If we keep saying,
they're not products either. You could just say animals.
When you make them products, if you chop them, if you kill them, you are making products.
Yeah, but you could just say eating animals.
You can, yes.
Or I say body parts, organs, and secretions.
You can, yes, we can, but
Is it any more
ultimately,
specific?
once you put it in the market, that's a product, unfortunately. But it's never food. I can go and grab a battery and put it in my mouth. It's that natural to eat animal products, meaning that's unnatural.
It's kind of like if you're going to try to get nutrients from a cow that got nutrients from plants, are you going to try to get oxygen from their farts?
Yeah, that's amazing. But words are powerful, and as I observe the vegan world, I have these observations. Animal food is an oxymoron. There is no such thing. Just like AI, artificial intelligence. If it's artificial, it cannot be intelligence. If it's intelligence, it cannot be artificial. Because intelligence it's a stream, it coming from the source.
Of truth.
Right. It's based on that. It's a certain energy. It cannot be artificially created. It's like artificial love. There's no artificial love. There's no artificial
Well, it's
intelligence.
artificial because it's using our real intelligence to create a new level of intelligence.
It's just drawing all that data. That's not intelligence. It's a certain program. There is no awareness in that. Intelligence has awareness. So there is a clear difference there for me. You can say artificial love. A robot goes and touches a cat. Artificial love. That's not love.
There's a movie, Megan, that's it, Megan. A young girl loses her parents, like her aunt works with AI, creating robots. And so she gives her a little robot as a companion. Megan falls in love with the robot, essentially, and it becomes very horrific.
Oh, I think I heard about that. That's the thing, I never watch movies. The last movie I watched was probably Groundhog Day. Seriously. And I discovered that in a yoga journal. It had the list of some of the most spiritual movies, and Groundhog Day was one of them. And actually it is a very spiritual movie. Until you learn to love, karma. Yeah, same thing.
Do you become an advocate? Do you say you're vegan? And I have said before, I long for the day that I'm no longer vegan because everyone's a vegan and we're just being vegan.
Just like organic food, right? There's no need to say organic. Food should be organic. It is organic. The problem is the non-organic stuff. GMOs and, the Roundups and this and that. Pesticides.
Yeah. But to get out of all this creativity, again, I wanted to go back to that, I think is the solution here. The more we are in tune with this truth and creative with that, the more we can immerse people with what we've created.
Absolutely.
And then we've immersed them in that love.
Absolutely. Keep loving, but without forcing ourselves to love. Again.
No, just being creative, doing what we're good at,
Yes, but also this, in my view, this vision should be there. When we look at the world or nature or human, anything, seeing us, seeing the I in everything. That is not a poetic idea. That has vibrations. It actually changes people, changes things. It's an energy. When you love, you are sending energies. You are drowning lower vibrations in those higher vibrations. That is change. That may not require uttering a word. That may not require any interaction. You can send love to someone on the other side of the world. There is no distance for love. There is no other side of the world in that case. I mean, I had some interesting experiences. For example, he passed away recently. I had a dear friend. This is in the beginning of the pandemic. I'm exercising. And, these thoughts, about the pandemic, life, humans, etc. And I'm writing things down. I'm exercising, I'm writing. This friend, we had not communicated for a long time. He calls me on Skype. I didn't pick it up, I couldn't pick it up at that moment, but he left me a message. He said, I just woke up from my siesta or my noon sleep. I had a dream, I saw you in my dream. Let's talk about it. So we meet, I think it was the next day, we meet on Skype, we talk. He felt me from the other side of the world. In his dream, somehow, his dream, is about the things that I was saying to myself alone in the house exercising. And other experiences. I mean, these are not.
Synchronicity.
Yes, all are one. This doesn't make anyone special. This is what is normal.
No, yeah, that's been happening so much in my
Absolutely.
life. It's incredible. It's just unbelievable. Even the dream stuff, not with me, but just other people telling me things that are just mind-blowing, and to the point of like, I am the last person to believe in anything metaphysical. Like, not that I'm resisting it or whatever. I just don't have the time, desire.
But that's you.
That's just the time.
That's you
desire.
already.
But so many things have happened. The more I'm allowing myself to realize this, the more I see how many times this just keeps happening. All these little weird synchronicity type things. Yeah. And I just attribute it to, like I keep saying, this universal, now though I qualify it, good intention. These universally good intention, I think just ultimately get me there.
Actions based on oneness.
Yeah, some people might pray their way into those actions. Affirmations, meditations, these are all different forms of, like you're saying, there's different words for gods, there's different words for...
Yeah, but there are no different gods.
Yeah, like there's just words.
One omnipresent
there you
reality,
go. Like,
yes.
There's different names for God, or whatever.
Same sun, different names. Yes.
So yeah.
Same sun, different names. Yes.
I'm realizing I'm bringing it in. I'm like, okay, I want to tap into that and really allow this to happen now. And I'm more than ever, because I'm getting older. I don't want to waste time avoiding this energy that I'm sensing from others that are trying to pull me in a more natural direction. They're not necessarily trying to pull me. They're just shining. They're radiant. And it's just like, this is really where I want to be. But it takes shedding off the ego to get there. This is like next level veganism for me. It's like next level, but it required being so in tune with the vegan philosophy that I was able to be that open to receiving what the universe is radiating, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm releasing a video this week, Dr. Munish Chawla, and the title of it's going to be, ironically, Veganism Opens the Universe. And he says it a couple times in the video, and I'm like, wow, that's actually happening to me. Do you feel like all of these profound things that you're talking about here came after veganism? And did veganism enable you to access those things?
I think all of the above there. My spiritual journey started with this question. This was probably about 1993, I'm not sure. All these terrible news, everywhere people are killing each other, all the bad stuff. And I said, who is doing all of this? Humans. Do I have this in me? No, then I'm not human. That was the beginning of my spiritual journey, consciously. But the spiritual journey, in my view, it's been there through many life forms, in my view, like all of us. But in this life, that was the question I asked. And
that's what brought you probably to veganism then.
Well, I mean,
it enabled you to get there.
That's just the, seed. And I said, well, if humans are doing this to each other, all this bloodshed, all that bad stuff, do I have that in me? No, then I'm not human. That was the logic, and it makes sense to me, right? Now I would say humans who act like that are acting as non-humans. But still, the logic back then made sense. Why did it help me? Because I'm human is an illusion. I am human is an illusion. I am nothing but I. Human is a life form, right? That too is something that comes after I am. I am human. There's a woman. There's a man. There's a transgender person. Who can judge? From birth, hormones, congenital. That's her life, whatever it is. Whatever the form, it's the same essence. It's there. Love the man, love the woman, love all. Transgender people, love animals, love rocks, love plants, love all. Don't force yourself to love. Just see yourself in them. If it's effortless. In the beginning, as we try to get rid of as we try to go this path, initially it may feel kind of effortful. But in the end, it will lead you to an effortless place.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, there's a huge learning curve. Just to keep it going, vegan comes with a huge learning curve. If you weren't vegan to begin with, how are you supposed to know how to do anything that you've never done before? But once you realize, wow, it's just a matter of eating your beans, greens, grains, fruits, veggies, mushrooms, nuts, seeds, herbs, and spices, and this is how I want to do it, then it becomes effortless. The more you learn and all, the more simple it becomes.
What I focus on is to see what we already have in us.
Yeah, I mean, that would be ideal, yeah.
Then there's no effort. I mean, if we see that, then we can give up our non-vegan ways easily.
You're trying to simplify it, but in a more complicated way.
I'm not sure.
You're trying to simplify it because you're saying you're already that, which makes it really simple. You're just, hey, be yourself. You're vegan.
Live yourself. You already are.
Live yourself.
Yeah.
But it's complicated because it's like, how do you tell somebody they already are when they're not doing it?
The first thing is to clarify this picture.
Yeah.
What is your nature?
Yeah.
As a human. I'm not talking about spiritual.
That's what Dr. Shailesh does. He says he might start off the presentation with, who in here wants to see an animal hurt?
I saw that somewhere.
Nobody raises their hand, and he says, congratulations, you're all vegan.
Well, wait a minute. I think I watched that.
Probably.
Was it that VeganLinked?
Nah, who knows where it was. I mean, he's probably said it more than once, but in different documentaries.
Okay, I saw that.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great way of putting it, like how you're saying it, kind of.
My issue is these words, especially. I know that many people react to the word vegan as if it's an artificial, lab-made, unnatural thing.
Yeah, but that's anytime that you confront somebody with the truth, like Earthlings. There's 3 stages of truth: opposition, resistance, and acceptance. Yeah. So you're going to have that. No matter how we do it, we're probably going to get some of those. I even like to liken it to Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's stages of loss. She looked at people dying and realized, they go through anger, bargaining, denial, depression, eventually acceptance. People are losing what they think are their cultural traditions, their trust in their parents, the fact that they've been doing something their whole life wrong, they're having to accept now. There's just so much that goes with becoming or returning to their vegan roots, however we want to say it.
Giving up what they are attached to.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
And they all live in the mind.
Yeah.
In the body too, in certain ways, these things. But so many people believe that humans are supposed to eat meat. That's human nature, they say. Yeah. Even some friends who have been seeing my experience, what I went through, my transformation. Even some friends who know me, sometimes they end up saying, "Oh, that's human nature. You need to eat meat," and I'm surprised. As if my experience doesn't exist. If I say to that person, "Go vegan," that's an immediate clash for that person.
Oh yeah.
If I find a way to help that person see beyond what you believe may not be true, question it. Your human nature is this, right?
Yeah.
Not harming, not necessarily vegan or non-vegan. Many people have big reaction to the word vegan.
Oh yeah.
Finding a different way, eating plants. You don't need to eat animal products. You don't need milk, you don't need cheese, you don't need butter, you don't need flesh, dead or alive. Some people eat, alive, unfortunately. You don't need any of those. And actually, if you consume them, you will only be harmed. This kind of a conversation, I think sometimes is more helpful.
Yeah. I mean, typically people have some sort of conversation, and they'll just say go vegan, right?
Yes, yeah. So, and you don't want it to backfire. Then people are creating resistance.
Yeah. At the same time, I think there's some value in normalizing the word vegan,
I agree. But so far, with many people, I think what I've been observing is, what is this vegan thing? Artificial, as if that artificial thing, people are trying to impose that on me.
Yeah, I think that's more because of these mock meats and processed vegan products, and things like that aren't really even as vegan as like a Whole Foods.
That's not food. Food comes from earth.
Yeah.
Food comes from earth, from trees, from the ground, not from animals, not from the lab.
Not from a human animal either.
Right. Yes. A human being can live on nuts, fruits, and vegetables.
Yeah. Let's talk about real quick your diet, or maybe you want to talk about your transformation first.
Well, let's do it this way. So, 1996, vegetarian.
Yeah.
I came to this country 1998 without having any idea about veganism. And I see, PETA campaigns that says, veganism, is that for me? And I learn the effects of, dairy, etc. And, I start to feel this discomfort. Well, this is not working. This doesn't work. I don't want to contribute to their suffering. Until 2011, I was experimenting. 2011, I'm checking things on YouTube.
You're saying you're experimenting with like lacto versus ovo.
Yeah, all of those things.
Yeah.
I find a video of Brendan Brazier, Thrive Diet, and I see this book, and I say, "Wow, let me try this," and everything changes. I get the book immediately, vegan, and everything changes. My energy, my mental state, feeling at ease, peace, and this amazing energy. With that energy, I start to exercise. But so there are 4 Thrive books. The main book, Thrive Fitness, Thrive Energy Cookbook, and there is Thrive Recipes, I think. Yes. Thrive Fitness book, I discovered this thing called Jungle Gym. It's not a machine, but Brendan Brazier uses that. When he's in hotels and etc. Traveling. Just 2 straps with cuffs, etc. It's just you can work your body in ways maybe even better than in a gym. So basically, I started to do functional training, functional body weight training, without lifting weights. Long ago, I used to do bodybuilding. Before I became a vegetarian, etc. Late 80s, early 90s, etc. I used to lift weights, not for long, but I have that experience. So when I start to do functional training, I feel, well, let me get back to this. Let me get into shape, full body. So this starts in 2011. And I gradually, I start to exercise, and it feels so good that I start to do it more often, and it becomes a daily thing and full body thing. I started to see this amazing development, that getting bigger and getting better actually also on drums and piano. The way functional training, the way it works the muscles, it doesn't make you heavy, it makes you agile. So I became a better drummer, better pianist, and better singer.
And this mortal must put on.
Through this, wonderful diet and exercising, this thing started as a vocal project, because I was getting ready for a Christmas performance, and I was in good shape vocally, but you always look for things that will make you better. That's why I was going through YouTube. I found this video. The basic idea was, as a singer, your vocal organ is the larynx, but your entire body is your vocal instrument. To work on that vocal instrument, I started this functional training. And this vocal journey, it developed in very interesting ways. 2019, I started to, take photos, athletic photos, because I found it interesting. Something amazing is happening here. Let me share it with people. Sometimes you see posts, vegans, they cannot have arms wider than a banana, something like that. And I said, well, that's wrong. Here are my photos. I'm not even lifting weights. I wanted to share my experience with people as my service also to, let's say, humanity. Then, 2021, I think, I applied to the PETA contest. They call it, most beautiful vegan.
Over 50? The one?
Over 50, yes. It's not about physical beauty, and I don't consider myself physically beautiful in any case, And thank God that's the case, actually. In terms of having a peaceful life, I applied to that competition. I ended up winning, which led to these interviews with Physicians Committee, Chef AJ, Jeff, VeganLinked. What I find interesting in this experience is this: I don't lift weights. The last time I went to a gym was probably in mid 80s, something like that, back then in Istanbul. So I don't lift weights. I eat plants. When I first started Thrive, I was using some, Vega products, protein supplements, this and that. I stopped that long time ago. How is it possible for a human being to have this kind of a physical development, doing only functional bodyweight training? The only weight that I lift is my own body. Eating only plants, and now it's all raw. This started about two years ago. Not much protein, no supplements, just B12, vitamin D, and I don't think I would need them. I'm taking them just in case. In a natural world, with enough sunlight, with organic farming, and especially on the raw diet, no supplement would be needed, in my view. No steroids, no protein powders, nothing, no creatine. How is this possible? This is the experience that I'm sharing, and what is interesting is that people are avoiding this experience, as if something to be just, not to be seen. And I understand that, but this is my experience and I'm sharing it. If it helps anyone, I'm happy. If it disturbs anyone, well, there is something to be seen there for the person, for that person. Again, only raw plants, no supplements, no weightlifting, no gym. And it is amazing that on the raw diet, raw vegan diet, the amount of food that I eat, it went down. I used to eat a lot when I was eating cooked food combined with raw. This is about what is called in the East prana, life essence. Ki, chi, prana, life essence. Get a seed, plant it, it will grow. Get the seed, roast it, plant it, nothing will happen. Why? It's dead. Life essence is gone. Prana is gone. I believe the natural human diet is raw plants. Vegan plants, yes. Initially it was an experiment, will this work for me? But it worked, and I feel that I came back home. I can tell the difference between, for example, if you give me something, if I eat that, if it's cooked, it feels empty. If it's raw, the energy is there, life essence is there. Once, I had this experience with some canned corn. I thought, initially it was raw, but I ate it, it felt empty. I called the place, they said this is cooked. You can tell the difference.
Now, I interviewed a guy named Mark Huberman, and he was raw vegan for his first 32 years of his life. And then he finally ate something cooked, a potato or something. And now he doesn't feel fulfilled unless he eats something cooked at least once a day. Like, potatoes are one of the most satiating things you could eat.
Here is my suggestion, to all of us. Let's question things. Mm-hmm. Let's ask this question: why? Mm-hmm. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Why? This simple question. I don't remember the name of him, but this was, I think, last year. I heard an interview on NPR. There's a wonderful program called The Hidden Brain. The guest in that specific episode was an Indian scientist. From his childhood, he kept telling people, how do you know that's true? And and then in the end, I think he received one of the top, or maybe the top award in his field as a scientist. But apparently it started with, how do you know that's true?
Asking questions.
That question, how do you know that's true?
Yeah.
Because when you ask that, you encourage people to question themselves, question their minds, their beliefs, their strong beliefs, long-held beliefs.
Yeah.
That is the thing. Why? Let's ask this question, not only to others, but to ourselves. Why am I eating meat? Why am I drinking milk? Why am I doing this? Why am I not doing that? This question, why, is like a
probe into
interrupter.
Oh, there you go.
Interrupter of certain routines. Habit. Get rid of H, a bit is still there. Get rid of A, bit is still there. Get rid of B, it is still there. Get rid of I, tea is there. You know, that can be a very bad tea, who knows. But the thing is, it may be difficult to get rid of certain habits, but we should start somewhere if it's bad, right? And one of the best things to start that process is to question, or to encourage people to question their habits and beliefs.
Yeah.
Why? Why? It's not that do this, don't do that. It's why are you doing that? If I'm having this experience, living on plants, not even eating much, having this experience, you know, people think I'm a bodybuilder. I'm not. I'm not. Then who can say that humans need meat? Who can say humans evolved to eat meat or eating meat? Well, they may have eaten meat in the past, but that doesn't mean that is the right thing to do. Our ancestors did so many things, that doesn't mean everything they did was right.
And why stop evolving? I mean, do we want a future of slaughterhouses and concentrated animal feeding operations, or do we want a future of food forests, veganic farming, and greenhouses?
You know, if it was done in the past, it must have been right. There's no such thing. You know, I think Earthling Ed, you know, says this beautifully. You know, our ancestors also raped, waged wars, this and that. You know, that doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. I say this: truth is here and now. I don't need to look for it in the past or in the future. It's in me. Just like you, it's in you. That is the thing to do, to find it in us. To find it in us. We don't need anything else. Again, you know, I love this analogy. The cloud just needs to turn within to find the sky. It's already there. It's not creating the sky within, it's just finding, it's discovering, it's seeing what's already there. That is the truth. No cloud needs another cloud for that. It may get encouragement from other clouds, that's fine. But ultimately, in the final analysis, no cloud needs another cloud to find the sky. My message is my life, you know, what I went through. From this omnivorous lifestyle to vegetarianism to veganism, cooked food from cooked vegan, or, you know, let's say, you know, in the Thrive diet, you know, it's cooked and raw combined, right? But now it's all raw. How is it possible to have, you know, a limited amount of protein? I don't count calories, I don't count protein, but I know that I'm not having huge amounts of protein or, you know, calories. How is it possible for a human being to not only survive but thrive? You know, I don't sit around, right? You know, I teach, I perform, I teach different subjects. You know, I play the piano, I'm a drummer, I'm a singer, and all the other activities in my life. Supporting friends, supporting my students, having discussions. Where is this energy coming from? Of course, it's not just food, right? The way we live is so important. If the life is balanced, energizing, clean, you know, diet is only a small part of it. It's an important but small part of it, in my view. So, you know, you go online, you see some amazing vegan athletes, and, you know, you see people's comments. There are great comments, and there are some people who always, you know, find fault. Oh, well, if vegan diet is natural, why are you using supplements? That means vegan diet is not natural. This is not in terms of bragging. I'm not bragging. I'm just objectively looking at my experience, and I'm saying, you know, I've never seen anyone who has this experience. If there are other people out there, please come forward and share your experience. But I don't find any crack in this example, in this example that I've been experiencing. No one can say, oh, well, you know, he's using supplements. What people say is that he's lying. He's using steroids. Without using steroids, you cannot have these kinds of muscles. You can. Going into yoga, but there are ways to energize the body, to conserve energy, to live a yogic life. Without that, this diet alone or exercise wouldn't do it. So it's a much larger picture. Living this life, let's say a yogic life, is creating this very interesting picture that I'm sharing with the world as my service. That's all. Otherwise, I don't need to share this experience with anyone. I would be perfectly happy living in solitude without sharing any of these. But I believe this is my service. This is my experience, and this is my service to humanity.
So you're a diverse musician, and you're a drummer, a keyboard player, and a singer that ended up looking like a bodybuilder. And you've evolved philosophically in so many profound ways, and your diet's gotten down to the most nitty-gritty raw it could be. You've shared so much philosophically, and I'm really appreciative of that, because that's my journey is evolving philosophically. I think the timing of this is just perfect for me, and hopefully it is for our audience. I'm curious, is there anything else in regard to what we've been talking about that you would like to add to kind of wrap this up?
Yeah. Philosophy to me, it's kind of mental. I prefer to describe this as a spiritual journey. It's a spiritual journey. It is so important to view everything as spiritual without separating this is worldly, this is spiritual. Everything is spiritual. Everything is matter is spiritual too. Everything. This is in line with everything we discussed today. Realizing the self and embracing everything in that vision. Then the way we live, what we eat, what we do, everything becomes spiritual. Food is spiritual. Eating is spiritual. But we shouldn't have any attachment to that either. Things are moving, things are changing. There are people I know who eat almost nothing. And I know there are people who eat nothing.
Like sun gazers or something?
No. These are called siddhis, very evolved yogis with spiritual powers. Basically, there are people who rise above the common human needs of sleep and food. They literally rise above these. The main thing that food should provide is prana, life essence. Minerals, vitamins, fat, this and that, that's fine. Those are important too. But without life essence, those are nothing, ultimately, in my view. And in my experience. This whole journey also resulted in what I call the vocalitic system. My vocal system, even though, I say it's my vocal system, I don't consider it as mine. It's just, it just appeared in my life through my experiences. It's almost like vocal yoga. It's not just, about how to vocalize based on this system. Almost everything we discussed today, they are applied to singing in this system. What else? I think the last time I saw a doctor was 1255. It was a long time ago. So why am I saying this? It is possible to stay healthy. It is possible. Health is our natural state. I'm not against doctors, etc. Throughout the pandemic, I learned so much by watching, listening to these great doctors. Neil Barnard, T. Colin Campbell, Dr. Greger, Michael Greger. It's very interesting. Two things stayed with me. One, first of all, of course, the importance of diet. China study. Dr. Campbell says that, if I remember it correctly, if someone is on purely plant diet, the immune system is optimized in such a way that it produces antibodies against all viruses, not only coronaviruses. But if that person is consuming any amount of animal product, that's not happening. Coronaviruses are thriving in cholesterol and fat cells. Now, what is the importance of this? If the world went vegan, this pandemic would end in no time. And in a vegan world, this pandemic would not have occurred in the first place. I understand the importance of vaccines and science. Yes, they have their place. But without nutritional science, it doesn't work. The conventional science has this dogmatic approach. Only my system, only surgery, only this, only that. No word of food, nutrition. That's not right. That's as bad as dogma in religion. You know, if it doesn't fit into my belief system, it cannot be true. How is it possible that plant-based doctors are curing diabetics, type 2, in a matter of weeks? Just getting rid of oils, fat, reducing fat. What is the cause of diabetes? It's not sugar. It's the fat lodging in muscle cells and blocking the insulin mechanism. When you get rid of that extra fat, well, the insulin goes into the cells. All is well. We should take charge of our own health. Coronaviruses thrive in cholesterol and fat cells, and the immune system is optimized against not only coronaviruses but all viruses only if the diet is fully vegan. These two things should be shared with people.
And the coronavirus wouldn't even have happened, or at least zoonotic diseases wouldn't happen if we didn't exploit the animal kingdom.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Go and listen to Dr. Campbell. Go and listen to Neil Barnard. Go and listen to Dr. Greger. These are great scientists who have been sharing all this information based on science, not dogma. They are not against vaccines, but they are saying start with food, start with diet, lifestyle. On top of that, if you want to have your vaccine, go for it. But without this foundation, what will the vaccine do ultimately? In my view. The other thing is Glenn Mercer, the author of Food is Climate. You know, I'm grateful that, you know, during the pandemic, I was able to, you know, be friends with him and learn about his great work with Sailesh Rao, Dr. Sailesh Rao, and, you know, climate healers. Everyone is talking about climate change. Very few people are talking about the actual cause. The number one cause of climate crisis is animal agriculture. The other things are contributing to that. But the main one is animal agriculture. So I encourage everyone who is interested in the truth of the matter, read Food is Climate. Some people believe in karma, some people don't. But even those who don't believe in karma, they actually believe it in other ways, saying things like, you know, you reap what you sow, you know, what goes around comes around. This is a universal thing. It's scientific. Whatever we put out there, whatever energy we send out there, it comes back. If there is a bad cycle, the only way out there is to love. Right? This is like Groundhog Day. Yeah. You know, when you love, you will rise above that. Through right action, that is Dharma.
I mean, love fuels the ultimate forms of creativity.
Yeah, absolutely. That awareness should be there, you know, awareness about what we are, what we truly are, not what we think we are, not what others think we are, what we are. That is the answer, that is the solution. Why so many people have this resistance, this amazing attachment to eating meat or animal products? There is something called vasanas. Tendencies, habits that come from past lives. If someone has lived as an animal many lifetimes, that animal ate many other animals. The animal in the human wants to keep eating animal. That attachment to taste. Sometimes people say, oh, that's my preference. Well, people don't realize that they are being manipulated from within. You know, if you think that we have only one life that's human, that's one view. Understanding where these urges coming from is so critical to rise above them. What we need to kill is not the poor animal outside. It's the animal within. That's the animal we need to kill. All these, you know, rituals, you know, in religions and, you know, sacrifices, this and that, truth doesn't need any of those. Truth needs nothing. Let's just live our hearts, live our truth. This is what we need to do. And let's open our minds to deeper truths that may be disturbing, but if we know what things, what energies are living in a human, then we can take action. But if we keep ignoring them, they may be in action happily or automatically there are influences coming from past lives.
Wouldn't it be easier to just keep killing the animal outside of you?
But why should we do that? What is our goal? These strong urges, where are they coming from? If someone, for example, wants to change his or her diet, but finds it so hard, knowing where those urges coming from, right? If that person says, this is not coming from me, I don't need to identify myself with these urges. That's immediate freedom. This is related to our early discussion about the difference between the perceiver, the seer, and the perceived, the seen. This is not only about, the things that you can touch. I mean, habits, energies, reactions, responses, negative emotions, even positive emotions. These are all things that we see. We can take action on these only if we are maintaining our non-attachment state. If I identify myself with my habits, desires, tendencies, inclinations, my likes and dislikes, then the game is lost. If I say, well, I love my meat and that's my life, I do whatever I want, that's actually slavery and attachment. But if that person somehow finds a way, through spiritual evolution, learning, these don't belong to me. Where are these coming from? Then that person can take action, right? Look at the body, look at the mind, you are seeing them. If we stop identifying ourselves with the body and the mind, we already won the game. Because these tendencies and all these things are in action in these two instruments.
And there's all kinds of other animals within us, potentially, that might be easier to paint the picture here.
Right.
We don't want to perpetuate that animal within.
That's right. I'm so glad you mentioned that. When we talk about animal nature doesn't mean only to eat. By the way, there are animals who don't eat other animals, right? Those animals are very close to, having a human birth. In general, people say, well, animals eat other animals. Then, why are you questioning me? Well, I say this, are you an animal? No, you are a human. This is also something that I try to draw attention to. In the vegan world, PETA activities, they say, oh, well, we all are animals. No, we are not. We are not all animals. I'm not eating animals because I'm human. If I was an animal, then I would go and eat an animal. Most animals. I'm not eating animals because I'm not an animal. I understand what, PETA is trying to do, I understand the intention. But spiritually, it's incorrect. And I'm so glad you mentioned this other, facets of the animal nature. Spiritual journey should help with rising above this animal nature, with all its tendencies and desires. It manifests itself in different ways. Lust, anger, addictions, yes, it's, violence, survival instincts. There are so many. This is not a statement against animals. We are just making this objective observation that there is something called animal nature. For an animal to eat another animal, it can be right. That's its dharma. We cannot apply it to humans. For humans, it would be adharma. For humans to eat animals is adharmic. So there are different roles we play in life, different life forms. Again, I understand what, many people in the plant-based world or PETA are saying, we all are animals, we are not all animals. We should understand the difference between human and animal. Human is not an animal. It shares certain things about animals in terms of, evolution, etc. But in terms of humanness and humanity, our goal is to rise above that animal nature. Then we deserve to be called humans.
Which sounds a lot like humane.
Right. But if we are controlled by our animal nature, then we are only animals in human bodies. There's no difference. Having a human body doesn't make anyone human. Understanding, realizing who we are and expressing it in this human life will make us human. We cannot do that as long as we are living as slaves to our animal nature. This is what I know, this is what I see, and this is what I share. People in general are very defensive when we discuss these matters, they are very eager to defend their ways without questioning anything. Then it becomes, unquestioned self-entitlement, I do whatever I want. Well, yes, humans are free to do whatever they want, but that doesn't mean they have the right to do whatever they want. Karma is real. It is a universal law. We reap what we sow. How many human mothers consuming animal mothers, animal babies? And when they have tragedies in their lives, are they questioning what's happening? During the pandemic, especially in the early stages, people lost so many loved ones. I couldn't go to the hospital. COVID regulations. My mother died in the hospital. I remember this incident early in the pandemic. I heard this on the radio. I feel that person's pain, but I can't help but ask this question. So this person was saying, I lost my mother, I couldn't say farewell, died alone. Why? Universe is a chaos. There is no reason. Why are these happening? Why are these things happening? And I'm saying this, to that person in my heart. How many mothers have you killed in your life and ate? How many mothers? 500? 1,000? I'm not blaming anyone, but it is a sad picture. Nothing happens in this universe without a reason. Karma is real. We reap what we sow. What goes around comes around. But in our speciesist vision, we are so short-sighted. That is very unfortunate. How many blacks are doing to animals what racists have done? All these things. We know what Hitler did. Humans are doing the same thing to animals. Blacks are blaming whites. Whites are blaming blacks, thinking that they are whites and blacks, lost in illusion. Human mothers are killing animal mothers. Blacks are doing to animals what whites are doing to them. All these crazy things. So this is karma. And I learned my lesson, which is this. Sometimes the best thing to help others is to leave them alone. There are times to speak, but especially in these past 2 years after this PITA contest, etc., I shared my experience. How many people took advantage of it? How many people gave any importance to it? Right? It's very easy to focus on, weightlifters and, protein powder guzzlers, etc. Fine, it's great. As long as no animals are harmed, it's fine. But I think something very interesting is happening here that I'm sharing, that I have been sharing. I hope it helps some people.
There was times where I felt like nobody was hearing me. It was like, what's the point of me doing any of this?
Yeah.
Then one day I ran into somebody, and this has happened a few times, where somebody's said, hey man, I've been listening to you online, and it's really caused me to do things differently. In my mind, I'm like, well, it would have been nice to know that. Maybe if you would have commented on the post, if you'd have liked it, or if you'd have shared it, but they did nothing. So I know a lot of times when I'm putting stuff out there, there's people that are seeing it that probably I'm not aware of how it's impacting them. They're just not, they're silently responding, internally, or who knows. But I'm sure that you've had a tremendous impact regardless of how it may seem. And that's important to know.
Thank you. I hope so. In general, what I observe is, echo chambers. Preaching to the choir. Yeah. We talk about these among ourselves, and let's say the non-vegan, people who lead non-vegan lifestyles, they don't want to hear anything. Very rarely, you can reach someone's heart, which is good. If my experience helped even a single person, make a positive change, I'm happy. But I also, this was a good experience for me because, I made huge efforts, to share my experience, photos and, writings and, this and that, interviews. In a normal world, I think there would have been a different reaction. But even in
a healthy world, you mean?
Normal world, thinking, reasoning.
A reasonable world.
Reasonable world, yes, yeah, yes. right? I'm grateful for the PCRM interview, Physicians Committee, Chef AJ, Glenn Mercer. I think what I'm seeing is people are not seeing what I'm seeing. What is happening here is, as I said, I've never seen it anywhere. This experience. And I'm just observing this objectively, not egotistically, without owning it. It debunks countless myths. It's very interesting. The vocative system, I studied at 3 conservatories. I studied tenor repertoire. 1 school in Istanbul, 2 schools in the US. After I graduated from all of them, I realized that I wasn't a tenor. And I discovered it on my own. I realized I was a baritone. Now my career changed. This was a huge change, dietary change, and all these life changes and spiritual, this is all part of it. In this journey, I discovered very important vocal truths that debunked countless vocal myths. Similarly, this physical experience or diet-related experience, it debunked so many myths about nutrition, athletics, diet. It's as if things happening in my life, they keep debunking myths, vocal myths, nutrition myths. If it helps, it's great. Otherwise, I can say this openly, I'm not making any efforts anymore to make myself heard. If there is interest, I'm sure, the connection would be there. Otherwise,
life's too short.
Even if it is long, why waste time? Why waste energies, I don't have to do this. This was my service for others, right? Sharing my experience. If I go out, to do things, if I'm walking on the street, I do my best to get back home ASAP because I don't like to draw attention. In general, bodybuilders do bodybuilding because they think they are those bodies. I do what I do knowing that I am not this body. That's a very interesting difference. And this gives me actually freedom to work on my body with this view. Knowing I am not this body, working on my body is working on instruments. So that means I have this control over my body. I don't need to eat just because I want to eat for taste. I eat if it's necessary. I eat to feed my body, not to feed my mind or desires. So that's efficiency.
That's good stuff. I like that. It kind of reminds me of Mark Huberman saying, food is fuel to do good things.
Yeah.
Maybe it'd be a good way to wrap this up to talk real quick. What's, just real concise, how people can find out more about you, and maybe if they want to get some vocal lessons or whatever kind of lessons you offer, how can people find you and check that out?
Social media, they can Google my full name, Bülent Güneralp. My website, bülentguneralp.com, it's all there.
So what kind of services do you offer again? Vocal, and there's a remote?
Yes, so prior to the pandemic, I was teaching, online and in studio. In the pandemic, it became all online, and I stayed that way. So I'm teaching online, voice, and all the information is on my website. When I say voice, it's not only for singing. It can be speaking, singing, based on the vocal fundamentals that I discovered throughout my studies and my own vocal journey. I'm also a professional drummer. I used to be the drummer at the Istanbul State Theatre Orchestra back then, before I came to the US. And I studied piano, so I do all 3. Voice, piano, drums, but what I mainly focus on in terms of teaching is voice. But if there is interest to study drums and piano, I have those students too. When the PETA article was published after the contest, I also included there in the, in my credentials, even though I don't have a degree, based on my experience, I do nutrition coaching. That's not official, but if there's anyone who wants to learn from my experience, I'm happy to share as I did in this interview.
We'll add links to everything in the description and the pinned comment. And man, it's been a long time coming. I'm so happy to be here and see what your life's like here and all. It's just so cool. I mean, you live in a really cool community here. It's just a real pleasure, a real treat, and I just can't thank you enough.
Thank you, Jeff. I am grateful to you. As you said, we had been, planning this for a while. It's wonderful to meet you. I'm grateful to you. And let me finish it with this. Love all, serve all, help ever, hurt never.
Wow. Is that a quote?
Yes.
Cool, because I usually like to ask people, do you have a quote you want to share? So thanks, I almost forgot to ask. So who is that quote from?
So that I will keep anonymous.
Okay.
Yeah, because that teacher, that spiritual teacher says, he said this to a journalist once. The journalist asked, can I take your name to the US? And the teacher said, don't take my name, take my message. So this is his message, and I'm honoring his wish that I'm not sharing his name.
Yeah, and repeat that one more time.
Love all, serve all, help ever, hurt never. Thank you, my friend.